I got angry.
Yeah.
And I went boom.
How could you ever admit to something?
What they do to you in there, it's a nightmare.
A daycare provider with a low verbal IQ confesses to killing a toddler in her care.
The following is from the Chicago Tribune. When Melissa Calusinski found Benjamin Kingen unresponsive in his bouncy chair at a suburban daycare center on January 14, 2009, his death, later that day, was a mystery. It wasn't yet clear that it would also become, in the eyes of the law, a murder. It also wasn't clear that the case would attract national attention, or that now, a decade later, the events surrounding the Deerfield toddler's death would continue to be debated. Was it intentional or accidental? Did Benjamin die of a skull fracture caused by Calusinski, a worker at the center, or of a pre-existing condition? Was her confession true or coerced? Did authorities withhold from Calusinski's defense attorneys an X-ray of Benjamin that undermines their case? This is the interrogation of Melissa Calusinski.
I went through like a case a while back when I was 19, 20, and I was like put through like counseling and Belgian for that something happened on King County property a while back, but then my case got dropped. People versus people. So the guy walked away.
Okay.
So.
Did you get arrested for that?
No.
What was the?
I wouldn't know how to say. It's been a while, but it was like with like harm, rape, and all that other stuff. And like my case got dropped and all that because they didn't find enough like evidence or whatever. So.
They accused you of raping someone?
No, the guy. And it was on a forced preserve property and everything.
A guy raped you?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Besides for that instance where you were a victim,
Yeah.
did you ever have any other run-ins with the police?
No.
Okay,
Never.
good.
Pretty much Tom Carpentersville knows who I am.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Is that where you grew up too?
Yeah, and they know my dad, so.
Okay.
He's friends with the
A lot of policemen like them fishing. So.
Yeah.
Let's, why don't we go back to, was it Wednesday,
Yeah.
when this all happened? In general, what I like to, now you've had a couple of days to kind of relax and, kind of think. Things maybe are a little clearer on what happened that day. We find out sometimes that after a day or two of people just getting themselves together, that's a pretty traumatic experience. They tend to start remembering a little more fact, a little more detail of what occurred. And the way I usually like to do this is I like to start out from the beginning of that day. Let's say you got up,
Yeah.
and you got yourself ready for work.
Ready for work.
About what time was that?
I left at like 6:50.
So this was Wednesday morning, about
Yeah.
6:50, and you drive yourself into work.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Just go through your
Well,
day.
I didn't get there till like 8:20.
Mhm.
That's when I clocked in.
And who was there when you got there?
Wendy, she's the head teacher,
Okay.
and a few other staff, along with my sister Crystal.
Who were the other staff?
I believe it was, her name was, the other one, I think it was Wendy with a W,
Okay.
and then Kristen. These were other staff that were with that, because our kids before in the morning, because we keep them all in one room. They were in the baby room, and then when we had like 13, we split them in half, and then bring my kids with Wendy into our room.
Okay.
So, and when I got there, that's when we split them in half.
Is that like a required number? You can
Yeah.
only have so many kids in a room?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the maximum amount of kids?
For right now, for the toddlers, the infants, it would be infant toddlers. It would be like a ratio of 4 for one teacher.
Okay, 4. But you could have 8 to 12 if you have, let's say, 3 teachers in one room?
Yeah, up
Okay.
to 12, you can have 3 teachers.
Okay. All right. Okay. Go ahead. So you got there. These were the people there. You got there about 8:20.
And then I helped get my kids into the room with Gwendy,
Mm-hmm.
and everything was perfect.
How many kids?
There was 8 in my
8
room
kids.
today.
So it was you and Gwendy.
Yeah.
All right. And 8 children,
Mhm.
including What's the child's name?
Ben.
Ben? All right, go ahead.
And when she
What
we brought him
time,
in,
I'm sorry, what time did you guys, do you think you got in there with the kids, with your group?
about like 8:30.
8:30?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
And she was finishing up, and then I started writing down what they had for breakfast.
Gwendy was finishing up?
Yeah, she was finishing up, trying to get the rest of the kids and get everything together, bring in diapers and everything that we had in the other classrooms, that kids that weren't changed,
Okay.
that we would change them in our room.
So Gwendy would leave, come back with diaper, or came back with diapers? so
Yeah,
she
and
was
I
gone.
had help with my sister also. We
So
had
you're-
help with other teachers bringing the kids in.
Okay, but you were with the kids the whole time?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would write on their clipboard, because they have a daily sheet that for what they had for lunch, breakfast, and snack and all that. And I was just writing that down, and what they had for breakfast, and then the
So when you
things
get
that
in
were
there,
changed.
when you get in there at 8:30, do they have breakfast immediately?
They have breakfast before I even get there.
Oh, okay, okay, and then you record what they had for
Yeah,
breakfast?
we
Your
write it
group.
on a piece of
Gotcha,
paper.
okay. Is that another requirement?
For what?
Or do you guys just kind of keep tabs, or?
We keep, yeah, instead of taking off their daily sheets, it's so much easier just to write it on a sheet of paper of what they ate and what time they were changed instead of writing down all on the
Okay.
sheets,
Okay.
so. And I did that, and then when we write down their times too, and then after I was done with that, I finished doing the diapers for whichever kid got in late, child. I would do the diapers, write that down, and then wash, do the routine. We had to wash their hands right after diaper.
And you do this all in the same room?
hmm
Okay.
And there would be another teacher. Gwendy was there when I was changing.
Mm-hmm.
So we would, one would change, and then one would keep an eye on the kids, of course. So after that, we were playing with the kids
What time is that now?
around like 8:40.
Okay. Any of the kids,
We didn't notice anything at all. Everyone was happy playing.
okay.
There was no sign of change.
Nobody was crying, nobody, I'm just not talking
Yeah.
Ben, but anybody?
Nobody.
No issues, okay. Nobody getting out of hand, or,
Mm-mm.
okay. And is this usually the same group of kids?
Yeah.
All the time?
Mhm.
So you always have the same
Yeah.
4 to 8?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
And everything was going fine. And then once around like 9 o'clock, 9:15, we start doing early breaks for the
Mhm.
ones that came in early. Because Gwendy, she comes in the mornings at like 6:30, 6:45 to open.
Mm-hmm.
And then she goes on break at like 9:15. And then I have, there's another teacher that comes in there with me that helps me out and everything while she's on break. So
Who-
another certified teacher would come in.
So did Gwendy take her break that morning?
Yeah,
Does she do it at the same time every time?
yeah.
What time was that?
Her breaks are at 9.
So she took a break at 9?
Yeah.
Okay, and who came in at 9 o'clock?
It was either a teacher, her name was Nancy. She's here Monday through Wednesday.
So Nancy was there Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay, so Nancy came in for the break?
Yeah.
And how long was Nancy in there?
An hour.
Okay, and she would, well, it's a long break.
Yeah, we take an hour of breaks because she leaves. We work an actual 10-hour
Okay.
shift.
And you were there the whole time with Nancy too? Okay, all right. So then you get the hour break, and so now we're at 9 o'clock. Or I'm sorry, 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. Wendy comes back,
Okay,
and then Nancy, she goes into another room to break in the
Okay.
infant room.
gotcha.
And it was like back and forth.
Okay. So now, all right, 10 o'clock, what happens after 10 o'clock?
What me and Gwendy try doing now, we try doing like group time, read the kids some books, and discuss and go along with our lesson plan.
Okay. Do you have a written lesson
Yeah.
plan? Do you submit that to, is it something that you just hold on to, or is it something you
Oh, we
submit?
just put it on our board. on the
Oh,
wall.
okay, I see, so you just write it like up on a dry erase board?
No, we write them out on a sheet of paper. They give
Okay.
us like papers.
Okay.
We have to do 2 separate ones because we still have 2 infants.
Okay. Okay, so now you got a lesson plan, and you guys start reading to the
We
kids?
start reading.
And there's still nothing unusual, nothing, okay.
And they sit and listen, and then usually we try and read to them for like 5 5 minutes. They're still really young, so
Right,
they're
attention
really,
span's not
yeah.
there, right.
So we just let them play, and then we have music playing too.
Mhm.
So they dance and playing, and then me or Wendy, we do bubbles every so often too, because they like the bubbles. So.
Sure, okay. So, nothing happened while Wendy was gone. Now 10 o'clock, she comes back, you guys do your lesson plans, and then what?
We play with kids.
Okay.
We do check the charts for diapers and see who needs diapers,
Okay,
because we change diapers every 2 hours.
okay. Do you recall anything at that point, Ben acting unusual or anything like that?
He was happy. He was.
When you say happy, how old is he, 16?
15 months.
Okay, when you say he's happy, what do you mean?
He was just had a big smile on his face. He would play a lot. He would play with his sister, and he would just like crawl. And he was just getting used to like walking, so he wasn't walking that well yet.
Okay. But he could walk, would he just like walk and then go down on all fours, or have to hold on to something?
Usually what we've been trying to do, because he has a twin sister in there
Mhm.
too, we, like usually they'd be like uppies, like wanting us to pick him up.
Okay,
but
yeah.
What we've been doing, we've just been like, come on, and then we help them up, or they pull on our pant leg, and then we hold on to their hands, and
Okay.
we walk around the room with them.
So does he communicate?
Yeah.
So he can say words?
Yeah,
Okay.
he would say ball a lot and started to say not nice.
Okay.
So
Oh, good. All right, so go ahead. Now you've got the playtime. And you and Wendy are still in there.
yeah, and we were playing with them until about like 11, because 11:15 we feed them lunch.
Okay. And do they all eat in the same room?
Yeah,
Okay.
and they all eat the same thing.
Okay. And who feed? I mean,
We
I haven't been a dad with a young kid like that for a long time, so I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
I'm picturing my son eating spaghetti, grabbing it, and
Yeah,
I
we've
mean-
been trying to actually, what we do, just recently we were trying to have them try and use spoons,
Okay.
but some of them aren't quite getting it, so we only have them use spoons during lunch.
Do they sit in high chairs or
They sit in regular chairs
Regular
and you
chair?
buckle them in.
Oh.
We actually had
the low
little, yeah,
chairs?
wooden
Okay.
ones. One
Okay.
would like buckle,
Mhm.
like right here, and then in between the legs you put it through, or just a regular buckle.
Sure.
Does it have a tray on it?
No, it's, the table is just like a U. It just
Mhm.
has like a little area where you can push them in, and they have their own space.
Okay. So now they eat. No problems there.
No, they
Okay.
eat their food. really
And what time
well.
are they done eating?
I would say 11:30.
Okay. So 11:30 you're done eating, and then what?
We have them play a little bit more until about like 12,
Okay.
12:15. Is the latest we have them play. It depends on how fussy they get,
Okay.
because we try and keep them up till 12:30 before nap.
Okay.
That makes them take a longer nap usually.
Mm-hmm.
But when we got their cots out,
Mhm.
they were all fine. Sometimes they get fussy, and they were a little bit fussy because they were tired, and they
What
go
time
with
is
the
this?
same-
About 12:15?
12:15,
Okay.
they were getting fussy.
They were do they sleep in cribs or cots?
Cots. We only have 2 that sleep in the cribs because they're not 16 months yet.
Okay. And they all sleep in individual cots?
Yeah. They have their own cot covers and their own cots.
And these are, I'm trying to picture these are like fold-out cots or something, or?
No, they're just like mats or whatever, like
Okay.
things with a little bit of legs on them. And then what we do, we have the parents that buy the cot covers, and we put the cot covers on them so that they have the pillow and the padding, so it doesn't hurt the back or the head.
Okay, so everybody got tucked in, let's say, at
Yeah.
12:15 or so?
Yeah.
Okay, then what?
How
We-
high are the, I'm sorry, how high are the cots on the ground?
like that high.
Say a couple of inches?
Yeah.
1 or 2
They're not
inches?
that
Okay.
high.
Did you put up the kids in the cot?
It depends because usually once their cots and their cot covers are out, they crawl. They know
They
which
go
ones
to
are
their
theirs.
own.
Yeah.
So it was you and Wendy putting them into the cots?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So now they're all bedded down, 8 of them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
Once they were starting to fall asleep, we made sure first that they were falling asleep and that they were sleeping. And then once they were all falling asleep, we picked up the room. We did it nice and quietly. We had music going, of course. After that, we just like put the little toys in a little bin or a little area for us to sanitize, because we do clean our room. We sanitize and clean all the toys every nap time.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
And do you clean the toys in the room, or do you take them?
Yeah, no, we clean them in the room.
Okay. And did you guys
The
clean
big
them
toys.
Wednesday, or?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay. What do you just wipe them down with hand wipes?
We wipe, in like bleach water that we
Okay.
use for the table and diapers.
Okay, so this is you and Wendy
Mhm.
cleaning. Okay. Go ahead.
And then after that, we were, trying to finish up on what we needed to do, because actually on Wednesday, we were supposed to be ready today for for relicensing
Mm-hmm.
for the registered teachers, the certified. So you were cleaning and doing all that and going through everything.
Okay, so you're prepping for an inspection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the kids were asleep still?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you guys stayed in the room, obviously?
Oh, yeah.
You're saying you didn't leave that entire time?
No.
Okay.
And then Nancy came back in to break me on my lunch. It was like 12:30, 1 o'clock. It was my usual break, but she came at 1 o'clock today, or that day.
So Nancy came in at 1 to relieve you?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you went to lunch, and it was Nancy and...
And Gwendy, but I actually punched out, and then I went back into my room. And usually we're allowed to do that. Sometimes because of the weather, we have a small lounge, so it's not big enough for everyone to eat. So there was 3 of us in the room, and I was kind of also a little bit helping them out.
How long were you out of the room?
Not even 5 minutes. I just went to punch out and then.
Did you
came
have
back
like
in.
lunch that you brought or anything?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then sometimes what the directors want us to do, and my boss, is sometimes, with lunch, we would actually sometimes eat with the children because they get more comfortable with
Okay.
that, so.
So, 1
You
o'clock...
already ate your lunch when the kids ate?
No,
Oh,
but
on your break,
unlike
is it?
sometimes we usually do that, but then when we're on our break, most of us clock out, and then either they start up their car, they go out to like the store or something, and then after that they come back in, and we're very quiet when we come back in.
So when you actually do physically punch a clock?
Yeah,
Okay.
fingerprints.
Oh, it's a fingerprint scan?
Yeah.
Where's that located? Is that
It's
somewhere?
at the front desk.
Front. So you walked over to the front desk,
Yeah,
scanned your finger,
to punch out,
To
and
punch.
then I went back in my room.
okay. And that took 5 minutes?
Not even.
Not even?
Do you
Okay.
smoke?
Huh?
Do you smoke cigarettes?
No.
I just wondering, like a lot of
Yeah,
times people
no.
leave on a break to go.
They smoke, yeah, no.
Do girls you work with smoke? Do they?
I think some do, but none of the teachers. that
Oh,
work with
they go
them.
outside?
Yeah, or they either go as they drive to go get food or something
Okay.
like that.
So you came back in, and the kids were still asleep?
Mhm.
Okay. And this is all around 1:30?
Yeah,
Did Nancy leave, or did she stay?
she was still in there.
She's still there?
Yeah, she was helping out, and I was on my break.
So it was you, Nancy, and
And
Wendy?
Wendy.
Okay. Then what?
We were just keeping an eye on the kids, pretty much, and as they were, they were finishing stuff up, I was keeping an eye out on the kids and
Is who was finishing stuff up? Wendy and
Nancy.
what were they doing?
They were finishing cleaning up.
Cleaning up. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And then the kids started waking up at some point, or?
They didn't wake up till like after 2:30.
Okay. What did you have to punch back in?
Yeah, after my hour
Okay, so you left the room again.
to punch in. I
What time was that at?
It was like after like 2.
2?
Yeah.
Okay. And you've gone a couple of minutes again?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I came back in, and once I came back in, because Nancy didn't leave until I was actually officially in the room.
Okay, so you come back in and then Nancy leaves?
Yeah.
Okay. And then this is 2 o'clock. And now the kids are awake, or they're still asleep?
They're still sleeping.
Okay. And what are you guys, just watching them?
Yeah, we make sure they don't roll off their cots.
Okay.
And
And then what time do they start waking up?
after 2:30, I don't.
So 2:30, the kids start, around 2:30, you start
Yeah.
waking up, and then what?
Once they start waking up, we write down the times of when they woke up, and then generally, like, it's usually usually one of the two that are still in cribs, they're usually the first ones. Pick them up, we take them out of the cribs or off the cots. And then-
Ben's not in the crib though, right?
No, he was on a cot.
Okay, and his twin sister?
She was on a cot.
Okay.
They were almost like right next to each other.
Okay,
So, but we would start changing their diapers as soon as they started waking up.
okay. And that's what happened Wednesday,
Mm-hmm.
around 2:30? Okay.
Did all the kids sleep?
Yeah.
None of them like stayed up or cried, or you don't remember anything like that?
Usually they sometimes wake up, but some of them have binkies. So, and then they drop it in their mouth, and what we'll do,
Just
we'll
give it
go
back
over
to 'em.
there and gently, like, have them, help them find it, and then they go back to sleep.
Okay. All right. So now they're off. Now what?
We just turn on the lights if they're all up, and as long as the cots are all put away, we put everything away and put everything up, finish changing diapers, put up the blinds, turn the lights, and then we play some music, but other music instead of nap music.
And when did that, what was that about?
2:40, like 3 o'clock,
Two-
between 2:40 and 3.
Okay. All right.
And
Nothing unusual to that point? Okay.
and then after that, they were playing again. We let them play because we only try and do group time in the morning. But we were playing with them. They were playing with the balls that we have and doing more bubbles with them. And around 3:15 is when we fed them snack.
Okay. All right.
And again, there was no problem. Everyone ate all their food.
Okay.
And then as soon as they were done, we took them out, washed them down, make sure they were cleaned
Is
up.
it still in the same room?
Yeah.
Okay.
Made sure that they were all cleaned up, and then took off their beds and everything, did all the dishes.
Okay.
And Miss Nancy came in to relieve Gwendy.
What time was that?
It was like 3:20.
Pretty certain about that time.
Yeah.
How do you know?
I'm like, it's too much. It's too hard to to forget everything, because I was in there pretty much all afternoon. I didn't leave her at all.
Okay. So Nancy relieves Wendy at 3:20.
Yeah.
And then what?
After that, she was finishing up with the dishes.
Nancy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
Wendy left the room.
Yeah, Gwendy was off. She went home.
Oh, she left. Okay.
Yeah, she was off. And then after that, because she told me to do some art with kids, and I did that, and we were as the other kids that didn't want to do it and that already did it, they were playing. So when I was doing everything, and also Miss Nancy, she was keeping an eye on the kids too. I had my back turned against the wall, where I could see and have a good a view of everyone to make sure everything's okay as I was doing art with the kids at the same time, and I was watching back and forth and helping the student out with her art, and then watching the kids. And then when exactly that day, I took Ben out from the chair. He was happy playing with his sister and a few other kids.
What show?
It's not like a bouncer, almost. It's like those. It had it was almost like a bouncer. I can't even explain it. Cause
What was he doing? It was just sitting there?
It's his spot, actually.
So he just sits in
every
there?
day, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Did he get himself in the chair? or-
Yeah. Oh yeah. I took him out. I didn't leave him on the tile and everything when I was done. I tried helping him walk, but after a certain point, when I let go, he wouldn't want to walk anymore. So he went to his knees on the carpet, and then he walked. He saw his blanket by we have a rocking chair. It's like almost like a recliner, except without the footstool or whatever.
Mhm.
So he saw his blanket over there, grabbed his blanket, and he was happy and had his binky. And
What time was this about?
it was 3:30.
3:30?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was just like bobbling his head, you know, being silly, funny, and playing with his sister and a few other kids. And then when he crawled, he went into his little spot, and his sister was, you know, because his sister started saying his name, and she, you know, they pick on each other. And I was watching them, and I was making sure he was doing absolutely great, nothing wrong, as again. And then, like, sometimes in the day, he will fall asleep, but we do keep him up because usually Mom doesn't want him sleeping up at like 5, and we want to be having him more active and all the kids active, so that by the time we move them next door, you know, they're not so like cranky and everything and crying and whining because there's younger babies in the room.
Okay.
So at like, let's see, around about 4, Nancy's like, well, it's okay if I can run the dishes and everything because we're making sure everything was fine. Everything was fine. She ran to the dishes in the kitchen. And after that, like right after that, my sister Crystal heard the door still open. She heard. So she walked in, and then that's when everything started happening.
She heard what?
When she heard me open, you know, kind of outside the door and everything. And that's when everything went down at the same time. Like, as soon as Nancy left, I was keeping my eye out. I'm like, you know, making
So Nancy
sure.
walked out of the room for how long?
Like a second, like not even, it was like half a second.
Okay, and where did she go? She went
She went to the kitchen.
Okay.
The kitchen's right by
And you were in the room with the kids?
the kids.
Okay.
And then when everything happened,
When you say when everything happened, describe to me what happened.
well, I looked over and I was like looking back and forth where I can see all the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in his chair and he was starting to fall asleep.
Okay.
I'm like, Ben, and he responded, and because I saw him move and his eyes opened. Like his eyes were squinting,
Okay.
and like when I would say Ben, you know, and like you just see his eyes opening a little bit.
Okay.
And then he was like, no sign of whatsoever, like I didn't notice anything, because I've seen how,
What do you mean no sign of
you know, like
He
him
wasn't
acting,
responding?
no, like him acting any different.
Any different
like,
than he
no
normally
movement.
does? Okay.
And when I saw him again, like it was like not even like a second. Like it was like boom, like again, Ben. And I went over. He didn't respond to me. So I went over thinking, I thought he fell asleep, and I wanted to make sure. And then that's when he wasn't moving, and that it was just like. I was like, trying to make sure he was awake, and I didn't want to move anything just in case, if something did. And that's when Crystal,
What do you mean, just in case?
well, like, if anything, if he was sensitive, like, of some sort, because as soon as I went over there, like, when the door was gone, and then when Crystal heard me.
Okay. How did Crystal hear you?
Because she heard me saying Ben, and then I told her, I was like, can I get some help? And that's when Nancy walked out.
Where was Crystal, in the hallway?
She was by the front desk in the hallway.
And she could hear you all the way down the hall. How far is that?
Oh, not even. It was like the classroom where I went to go get my stuff. It was like, she was like right
Okay.
by the corner. And she
All right,
heard,
so she heard you go, Ben,
yeah.
and then what?
And then I went to the phone, and then she came running in as soon as possible.
Did you ever talk to anybody on the phone?
Yeah.
Who?
I heard, it was Beth, I believe.
Did you go on the intercom? Is that what you did? Or?
I dialed the
Oh, you
number.
dialed?
Yeah.
What'd you dial?
To the front desk. And I
Okay.
told them that, you
Is
know.
that like a 1, 2, 3-digit extension?
It was 2 digits.
2-digit?
And then I
What's
like
the extension number?
10.
10, okay.
And then I was like, oh my gosh, and I was like, can I get some more help? You know, he's starting to, I see foam and just stuff coming through his nose.
And who are you saying that to?
To Beth.
Beth,
Yeah.
okay.
And Crystal Stucker, she picked up Ben immediately. We both reacted like within a second. And that's when Crystal was like, Beth, you know, can you come in here? I need your help. And I was trying to get the kids.
Who said that?
Crystal.
Was she still in the room with Ben?
Yeah, she had Ben
In the room?
in the room.
And you were in there too?
Yeah.
Okay, and then she says, she yells, or what does she do?
No, Beth was right there too, coming.
Okay, so Beth was in the hallway, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Could
then-
Crystal see Beth from where she was at? No.
Well, she was like right there on the corner. She stuck her head up because the door was a little bit open.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when, as soon as she said that, Beth came running in the room.
Okay.
I got all the kids away from there immediately. She had Ben put him on the changing table, and then like immediately did CPR right before Beth could even get on the phone and did 911.
Okay.
And then when she was doing CPR, Beth was on the phone exactly with the paramedics when she was on the phone. And we did everything, and at the time we did get a pulse. And he did have a heartbeat, he really did. And
You were there the
I
whole
was
time?
there the
Were
whole
you
time.
holding him, or?
no,
Okay.
I was watching to make sure and making sure the kids weren't even near the kitchen area because he had vomit.
How do you know there was a pulse?
Sandy was checking for pulse because Sandy came in right after Beth did. So we were checking for pulses. They did up his arm here, and as soon as we saw that she was doing the CPR and the breathing and everything, I saw like the vomit, everything. You could literally see he was starting to breathe a little bit, and he did have a heartbeat. And when he left, he held on, and I guess they couldn't keep the heartbeat when they got him to the hospital. So as soon as she was on the phone with them, and once we got the pulse and everything, the paramedics came within 30 seconds.
Okay.
And they used, I forgot the name of the container where they do the shock for little kids.
Defibrillator?
Defibrillator. They didn't even say no shock required because he had a pulse and a heartbeat.
How did you know there was a problem, like when you first called his name? I mean, you're
He was, we just tried waking him up, and.
But you were by yourself, right?
For not even a sec, like a few seconds.
But you looked at him and you called his name?
Yeah, the first time. I didn't even take my eyes off of.
And what happened when you called his name?
The first time his eyes opened and that was responding.
And then what
And then
happened?
he, like a second later, he like closed his eyes, and I'm just like, Ben, wake up, you know?
How far away were you from him at that time?
I would say from like here to like probably half of the door, like in the first corner.
Yeah. And then you said, Ben, wake up.
Yeah.
And what happened?
He didn't wake up, and that's when.
Did you go over, what did you do?
I checked him and everything and tried to see if he would respond, and then Crystal heard me.
Were you screaming for him to wake up? Or?
No, I was kind of like raising my, not yelling, but trying to like maybe see if he would hear me.
Did you shake him to see if
A
he was
little bit,
sleeping?
yeah.
Okay. When did you see you said you saw some stuff coming out of his mouth or his nose?
No.
When did you see that?
When I got on the phone and Crystal picked him up. That's when I got on the phone and told Beth to come, and Crystal even said that.
How far away were you? How far is the phone from where he was at?
From where I was at?
He's still in his chair, right?
Yeah.
And the
then I was
phone,
over
where's
there.
the phone?
It was like close to like,
How far is that?
I don't even know. It wasn't that far down.
Okay.
Like,
And Crystal was already in the room?
yeah.
Okay. And you could see stuff coming from his nose and his mouth?
Not from the mouth, but the nose.
Just the nose. What did you see coming from his nose?
Like an orange red foam.
Yeah.
And then after that, when she was doing the mouth picture and everything, that's when the vomit was coming.
Okay.
And Monday, though, he was sick. He didn't have a temperature.
When was that?
Monday.
Monday?
And we noticed me and Wendy, as soon as we got him up from that, he was clean. He was white and pale, and he was coughing. He didn't touch any of the snacks. He had pretzels, cheese, and juice. He didn't touch it, and Sandy and Beth were in there too on Monday, and they noticed that he didn't touch it, so I gave him oyster crackers. But before that, he spit up a little bit like liquidy, like just liquid, clear. And took his temperature, it was normal. Waited a little while, and it was still normal. It was like a 99 point something. And he, when I transferred all the kids on Monday, I had him because, like, I held him, and I noticed, he wasn't feeling good. He was, after when Gwendy left, she even said that he don't look good. So I picked him up. He was resting on my shoulder and, like, just hanging on to me. And not even when I put the diapers and sheets on, he threw up all over me again, everything.
Did he come in Tuesday?
No.
He was
Because,
sick?
yeah, when I left Monday, from what I heard, that he was, Mom came and got him, and not even out, like, by the time she couldn't even get out of the door, because he started throwing up again. They had to put him over the sink, and that's what I did. He got sick, and we don't know what was wrong with him.
Do you have kids? You married? Live alone or with mom and dad?
I live with my mom and dad, but then I've been staying by my boyfriend too, back and forth because of work.
Is the Apache address, is that your parents'
Yeah,
address?
I've been staying there a lot though because
Where does your boyfriend live?
this Plains. He lives in a condominium. He's been back from the Army for a year now.
What street is he live on? What's his
It's
address?
off, I don't know his address exact. I can find out though. He lives off of Dempster, Thacker, and
This
Graceland.
Plains? Yeah, I know who it is. Yeah. What's his name?
Will?
William?
Yeah.
What's his last name?
Minetti?
What is it?
Minetti,
Spell.
M-I-N.
M-I-N?
E-T-T-I.
What's his phone number?
847-708. I don't know.
I will let you read. It's probably in your phone, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, were all the girls at work yesterday? That were today, we'll call them sick. Everybody was there.
All right. We're going to take a short break. Let you kind of compose yourself a little bit too. And then we have a couple more questions to ask you. Okay? Cold? Want some coffee or something? You don't like coffee?
Me neither.
Cappuccino.
Oh, please. I live on this.
I just tried not to
Okay, what I want to do is, and what we're talking about is, I just want to clarify some times, right around the time we started noticing a problem with Ben. Who was in the room, what time did this all start occurring. So if you can go over that with me one more time.
I was probably by myself for like at least like almost half a minute.
And that's when
Everything started happening. It was like around like
you were by
4.
yourself because Nancy,
She went to the kitchen
She-
real quick to
to-
drop the dishes.
to drop the dishes or to clean toys?
No, drop the dishes off.
Okay, okay.
To get sanitized.
And what time was that about?
It was about like 4.
Okay, go
and
ahead.
everything happened. And when it was like 4, not even 4:05, not even close to that. That's when I went over and said, Ben, stay awake. And I was like, Ben, he didn't respond to me the other time that I went to him. So that's when Crystal heard me outside from the door, and the door wasn't even shut that much all the way. And then she came in.
What's Crystal's assignment? I mean, what does she do at that time?
She was, I think she was relieving teachers actually,
Okay.
because she does all sorts of stuff there.
Mhm.
She's all over. She's a floater.
Okay.
And then she was like, Ben, and that's when I got told that we need some more help. And then Crystal made it sound like a little, because I didn't want to say it over to a point where if freak out, I was in a calm stage and everything, telling her I need help, of course. And then Crystal had Ben, and then she stuck her head. She's like, Beth, I really need your help. Come quick. And then that's when we started CPR.
So Crystal said to Beth?
Yeah,
Okay.
because Beth was right around the corner and someone was coming. But then when Crystal said, I need your help, come quickly. And then that's when everyone started. She came in, she got on the phone right away.
Didn't you call Beth?
Yeah, she was coming, but then we couldn't wait. So Crystal and Ben, and they heard me. She was coming. No, she was coming, and then Crystal said it again too. So before everything, because I was just getting the kids out of the way and everything.
So this is all kind of happening around 4:05. How many minutes before Beth gets in there?
Oh,
CPR?
not even a minute.
Okay.
Because when Beth came in right away, we were moving the kids, and then Beth got on the phone right away and called 911. And then at the same time, when Beth was on the phone, Crystal was already doing CPR. She was doing what we were supposed to, because we're all licensed and certified.
To do CPR?
Yeah.
Who went to the kitchen?
Nancy.
Did she come in the room right away?
No,
How far is the kitchen from the room?
It's a minute, not even a minute away.
Did you call Crystal specifically, or?
No, Crystal heard me, and then.
She heard you just saying Ben.
Yeah, and
Real
then I need yours,
calmly?
and that's when she came in, and then she's like.
Because you said Ben, and you were real calm. I mean, why would she come in if you were just trying?
I wasn't saying calmly. When I said it, she heard me screaming, and then I got on the phone.
So you started screaming?
A little bit.
What were you screaming exactly?
I was saying his name.
Okay.
It just.
Do you know what happened to him?
I've been up pretty much.
So nobody's
all
told
night.
you anything?
I text people, we don't know. Me and Crystal, and it was just me and her and Sandy and Beth that were in there until the paramedics came.
When he started getting, when this all started, there was only you in the room, right? And your sister heard you screaming his name? Okay. Well, part of what we do, Melissa, is we're with the Lake County Major Crimes Task Force, and we investigate homicides. That's pretty much all we do. So every homicide that occurs in the county of Lake County, they call us, and we take this over, okay? We investigate the incident, and our success rate is pretty high, because this is all we do, and this is what we're trained for. And we have a medical staff on our team, professional people that are certified to deal with children, adults, medical examiners, FBI, evidence technicians. We have a huge team, okay? The reason that we were called in this incident is because Ben's skull was fractured, okay? We're sure that somebody did this to him, where it's a medical certainty. that somebody's done this to him. What we need to know right now is if this was done by accident or did somebody intentionally hurt him.
Yeah, I would never put my hands on it, ever. I've never put my hand on a child, ever. I've never taken my eyes off of those kids.
Because there's one thing to hurt someone intentionally, to grab them and throw them up against the wall or swing them into the wall where they would hit their head. But it's another thing if someone dropped them or if they just tried to discipline them and got out of control. But we need to get to the bottom of this because this could be a real serious thing. And if something ever was to be an accident, it's hard to say later after someone lied about a situation, because at the end of this investigation, we're going to get to the bottom of this, because this is all we're going to do. We have 40 people on our team. So we need to know the truth right from the get-go. Right now, every single person that works at your place is talking to 2 detectives. So we need to figure out possibly how his skull got fractured.
I wish I could tell you. I've never seen anybody put any hands on any of those children ever. I've been there.
When we were speaking with the medical examiner in this situation, this wound that he had on his head is something with medical certainty that would have happened right away when he started going into unconsciousness.
Something that couldn't have happened before he got to the school that morning. It's something that happened while he was there. Sean's trying to tell you that, and you know what, medical evidence, it just doesn't lie. Okay, that we're certain, based on, and when he says a medical examiner, it means a coroner. They did an autopsy on Ben.
Yeah.
And there's definite medical scientific evidence, substantial. I mean, it's just not something like a tiny bruise. We're talking a skull fracture, and in a child, a skull fracture is far different than even an adult, because a child's skull, depending on the age, and he's 16 months old, is soft, not fully developed. So for a skull fracture to occur, it would have to be a substantial blow, and not just a tap. Now, that's not saying that couldn't have been done accidentally, you know, with a fall or some. Those situations do happen because there could be pre-existing conditions, other medical issues that we don't know about. But one thing we are certain about is that while he was in the care of the facility, this is when this happened. Okay. I also, you know, and the reason we talk to you a lot and ask you all these questions about you as an individual and sit here and spend a great deal of time with you is that we deal with pretty evil people. You know, we deal with murderers. That's what we do for a living. So we can recognize evil people. We can recognize good people. Okay. Somebody who's in the child care industry, very rarely are they going to be in there for malicious or evil purposes. They're there to do what? Take care of children and do good, be what's called a caretaker, right? Definitely based, and that's why I was asking you kind of about your work history. This is something that's part of your career. You obviously are not an evil person. I can tell that. I mean, I can tell that the minute, you know, in our job, we have to, for our own safety, and just because it's the nature of our job, we have to do what's called immediate assessments of individuals, because we only have a second to react sometimes, right? When we look at somebody like you, and that's what Sean and I have been having a couple of discussions, here's a person that, under bad circumstances, bad timing, wrong place, wrong time, maybe indirectly have knowledge of something, but is compelled not to because they're scared. And I know, this is big. I mean, it really is. This is a 16-month-old baby. I mean, this is somebody's child. This is somebody who won't have a future. These are parents that will never see this child grow again. And in this situation, these are parents that are going to watch a twin sibling grow. And that alone is going to be painful because they're actually going to watch the twin of the child who's now dead grow up not knowing what that child's future would hold or anything. You know, so not that we take anything less seriously, but a child's death or any injury to a child goes right to the top of the list, okay? Our job here isn't to condemn. Our job here isn't to judge. Our job here is just to find out the facts, put the situation to rest, give the parents some closure, and just put this off to the side. There are situations where evil people do evil things. You know that. Serial killers out there. You were a victim of sexual assault. So you understand personally, on a personal level, what intent and evil is. There are other people that, under bad circumstances, get into situations where they don't have any choice because of the circumstances. You pull out of your parking lot to go home, suddenly somebody blows a red light, you hit them, somebody in the car dies. Does that make you an evil person? No. You're a person of circumstance. A situation like this, we know, and this is why we're talking to everybody, that there's more to this than just suddenly somebody being lethargic and sleeping. We know that. Okay? We're giving everybody who has knowledge of this an opportunity to tell us. Obviously, this is highly important because they don't call us in just on minor cases. It's major cases. Okay? We're very good at what we do. Very good. And I'm not going to give you our resumes, but some of the most infamous murder cases in this county have been solved by us. Homicide is a fairly general term. What that means is that the death of the child was not caused by natural reasons. It was caused by something unnatural. So don't let that term eat away at you. All that means is that he didn't die of a heart attack or a pre-existing medical condition, that there were some unusual circumstances. And in this case, there is an unusual circumstance. I'm going to tell you that Sean and I both firmly believe, again, that just looking at you, and again, it's our job to read people. We do it for a living. That there's definitely things that you want to tell us that for whatever reason, in a lot of these cases we find out it's a little bit of guilt, a lot of anxiety, because you don't know what the right thing is. You got to think back to before you maybe were even an adult, and the right thing was always to tell the truth. And the more you don't tell the truth, the further into that story starts getting more and more and more out of control until it's at a point where we can't control it anymore. All right? And then there's discrepancies in what you say, what they say, what you said, what actually happened. So the more this goes on, and the more the longer period of time that we don't uncover the truth, the worse it is for everybody, including you.
I would like to know.
Well, we want to know exactly what happened here. And we need to know from you what you know about this beyond what you've told us. And I can tell you, and please, don't mistake, don't make a mistake and not tell us the truth. Because we're very close scientifically of putting pieces together. We need you to finalize that piece for us and tell us exactly what happened. And you're a good person. Reach down inside yourself and help this family. For crying out loud, it's a baby who didn't have a chance. We need to bring some closure to this and figure out what happened here. What happened?
I don't even know. We were doing CPR and
Melissa, the whole thing is when you talk about a certain crime or anything, it's a big word that comes up in court is intent. If someone intended on, if I go up and shoot George in the head, I intentionally probably try to kill him, because it would be pretty obvious that that would lead to his death. So in that case, I would be in trouble with the court. So most of the law is if something happens on intent, then there's everyday accidents. People get in accidents every day, like in cars, and there's a car accident, and the result is somebody dies, but the person who gets into an accident with them doesn't get in trouble. You've heard that before, right? So that's what the law is about. The law is all about if someone intentionally tried to do something to somebody.
On
they
purpose,
intended on
maliciously.
purpose. We
No.
think in this situation, I know somebody caused the action for Ben's skull to get fractured. What we need to know is, we don't think somebody intended on hurting him. We don't think someone intended on killing him. We think that something happened. We know that something happened that caused this injury to him.
Something that perhaps got a little out of control, or a misstep somehow. It wasn't like somebody woke up Wednesday morning and said, I'm going to drive the Mini Subi and I'm going to kill Ben.
Yeah.
We don't believe that's what
I don't
happened.
believe
right? And I don't
that either.
believe you believe that.
No.
But we also believe that you know a lot more than you're telling us. And please, for your
I
own sake.
I swear, there was no problem. Like, me and Gwendy, we never, the mom even said, though, he does throw his fits, and he has a tantrum fits, and sometimes he'll throw himself on the ground
Well,
and have a fit.
we know from this injury, we know for a fact that this injury could not have happened from him just merely falling from a
Yeah.
standing position. That could not happen. It's already scientifically ruled out by the coroner. You watch CSI and stuff, we can tell
Yeah.
how many pounds per square inch caused an injury. We can tell everything. So we know, we're certain that this did not happen from him just casually falling or throwing himself on the ground. We also know, when I say medical examiner, they're called pathologists, but a lot of people know what medical examiner means. The medical examiner informed us that the onset of this injury that caused him to pass away happened relatively quick when he went to an unconscious state, because that's what caused him all of a sudden to go to sleep, like you said. We need to know what happened to put him in that position. We know that he just didn't fall on the ground
Yeah.
because of where the injury is on him. It couldn't happen, and because of the force, he can't generate enough force to do that. And I want you to understand, Melissa, is accidents happen every single day. We will never be finished with this case, ever, till we get to the bottom of this. It's never going to go away. We need to get it out there. Don't be scared to tell us the truth, because the truth is what helps people. But when people hide something, it makes them look guilty of something. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No,
You got to come clean, because I have a good idea that you've seen what happened, or you were involved with what happened, because you were the only one in the room at the onset of this.
Well, before everything happened, he, like I said, he crawled and went into his chair, and I didn't touch any of the, when he was at the time too, like when he fell asleep, when he was being unresponsive, I only took his arm and I went like this a little bit. I didn't touch his head, nothing.
Yeah.
And
Prior
then-
to that, though, when he went unresponsive.
He was laying back on the chair, and that was like when he was unresponsive. Nobody touched him at all. Like the kids, like before he was unresponsive and everything, and after the kids left, like his sister and a little boy was with them, and they were giggling, laughing, and I was
Right.
watching them.
A lot of the stuff that you say, like stuff like that, that lets us know, because what ended up happening when you have a fractured skull, you end up dying from, basically your brain shuts down your body because your brain swells up. Something along them lines. I'm not a doctor, but just to explain it in layman's terms, we know for a fact, and it's a medical fact, that he would not have been able to eat his lunch. He wouldn't have been able to take his nap. He wouldn't be able to be giggling. So all this stuff had to happen right away when he went unconscious. So that's why we know it happened in that room at that time.
What do you think should happen to somebody who murders a child?
I really wouldn't know. Like,
Well, let me ask you, on the other hand, what do you think should happen to somebody who accidentally causes someone to die?
well, if it was like an accidental,
If it's an accident, they didn't mean for them to
Yeah.
die.
Right.
It's like
So-
really, it was like an accident.
There wasn't any, like Sean was saying, there wasn't
Yeah.
any intent, there wasn't any plan, right? And that's what we firmly believe, that this wasn't intentional. We've investigated a number of these types of cases where not only caretakers but parents get out of hand, or inadvertently something happens, and they go into this denial mode because it's a traumatic thing.
Yeah.
It's a traumatic thing for everybody. It's a
And-
very traumatic. It's a lot of guilt to live with for the rest of your life. It really is. And Sean is pointing out to you that we're not going to just let this lie, and we firmly do believe that you either saw or somehow were connected to this injury. We really, really believe that, and we're trying to give you the opportunity to tell us.
I don't even know, so.
A lot of people, they talk when something like this happens, they talk to the police and they try to put up walls to distance themselves. But in the reality, it's hurting them because it would make somebody look more guilty that they intended on hurting this person.
I had nothing to do with it.
I don't think that you intended on hurting him.
I never put my hands on him ever.
No. But we need to know what happened to Ben that day. Because he's a 16-month baby, Melissa, and I don't think you're definitely not a mean person, but I have a son, and I swear to God, so many times I accidentally hit his head on stuff. Every time I walk through a frickin' door, I swear to God, I hit his head. He falls down all the time. My baby's 8 months old, so I know he hits his head back, hits a chair. There's always accidents. It doesn't make me a bad person at all. And if someone was supervising him or accidentally hit his head with something, it's not going to make you a bad person, but we need to get to the bottom of this. It happens all.
I'm like trying to, but like the only person that was with me at the time before all this was Nancy, so you would probably get to talk to her more.
Well, someone's talking to her right now.
Yeah, but I never every time I would change his diaper,
Yeah.
I like treat his head, make sure he doesn't hit
Sure.
the changing table.
Right.
So
And we know you're a good employee, and we know there's never been no incidents with you in
I
the
never
past
had no
or complaints.
nothing.
So we're not saying that you're the type of person that would do this, but we need to know what happened to him. We really do. And I promise you that the truth is the best thing in this situation. You're a good person. I could tell that. If you weren't a good person, I wouldn't even want to talk to you because we have so much medical evidence in this case. But what I'm saying is, it happens every day. When you're dealing with kids, they're just rambunctious, they jump around, they're hard to control. And believe me, it's very hard for me just taking care of one kid, not alone 8 kids or whatever by yourself. You shouldn't have probably been by yourself. And I know it could be very stressful. But we have to let the parents know. We have to put some closure. We have to get to the bottom of this. If something happened, please let us know. Did you hit his head by accident with something?
No, nothing.
There's no.
Did somebody else hit his head with something?
You would probably maybe talk to Nancy sometimes because sometimes when she would pick him up, sometimes and then put him on a chair or something,
Mm-hmm.
his head would hit the back
Right.
of the chair. So that's the only
This
thing.
is something, though, that would have happened because of what the medical examiner told us. Is this something that on the onset of this injury, that's when he would have lost consciousness, which is when you were in the room. So it couldn't have been something that happened hours before because this kind of injury to his head, he wouldn't have been able to function, and that's why he went into unconsciousness. And from what you were telling us, you were in the room
He
for
crawled,
at least 10
yeah.
minutes before this happened.
And he was crawling and everything. He didn't run into anything. I swear. I was watching him and everything.
Did you ever, because I know as a parent and, as being a policeman, I encounter a lot of people that sometimes they lose control with the kid and they give them a little smack in the head. The thing is we know that this thing like this wasn't a little smack.
Yeah.
That's
No.
why we're thinking could have been an accident. Someone could have dropped him. Someone could have hit him head on the wall. Not saying intentionally trying to do it, But that's what could have happened probably to cause this type of injury. And that's what we're looking for, and this would have had to happen right away. You said you were with them for over 10 minutes before this happened. You would have been pretty much going into unconsciousness within 10 minutes of this happening. I don't know if someone walked in and you're covering for someone that you're not
No,
telling us.
I don't know. It was me and Nancy. You probably have to talk to Nancy, I swear.
But you know when, was your sister in there before you were calling for help at all, Crystal? She wasn't?
Like when I called, when she came in, and then she put Ben on the changing table.
Was she in there prior to that incident when you called for help, when you said Ben, Ben, when you were screaming? Was your sister in the room?
No, she wasn't in. Not yet.
Would your sister hurt any of the kids there?
No, she has a son of her own.
Right. Okay. Would you cover up for your sister if she did hurt somebody?
No.
Okay. Even if it was an accident?
If it was Nancy.
You would probably want
I
to
would
tell
have
the
say
truth
something.
so she wouldn't get in trouble, right? And if you think like a logical person, which I know you do because you're very intelligent, we've been speaking to you. If someone like me, for instance, is watching a kid trying to take care of a kid, and I accidentally don't intend on the kid to die or get hurt, but something happens to the kid, it would be a logical person would probably think that maybe that person shouldn't get into that much trouble because they didn't intend on that to happen. Is that a fair assumption? Yes. So I don't want you to put up walls around yourself and try to, because you're scared, not tell us the truth, because in the long run it'll only hurt you, because it'll make it look like you're involved. But if it was an accident, she would have came out and told us right away, because we know, because she's an intelligent person. She would have said, you know what, this is what happened, but she didn't say nothing right away, right at the beginning when this happened, because you got scared. But when we went and talked to her, she came clean. She told us the truth. She told us she got scared at the time. She didn't know what to do. She's never been in a situation like this. And she told the detectives what happened. That's all.
I can't even imagine how he hit his head or who hit his head. Like, because, I mean, it's hard to, like, I had my eyes on everybody, and he was in a wide open space, and I never, didn't do anything to him towards his head, nothing. But like I said, Nancy was in there. Maybe Nancy probably accidentally did something.
Okay. And that's what we're getting to, all right?
Yeah.
If Nancy did something, and you have knowledge of that, you're helping us, you're helping yourself, that's phenomenal. But if you're being reluctant in saying something about Nancy, then you really are accepting part of the responsibility. That's what the perception is going to be. So if Nancy did something inadvertently, and you feel that maybe a little guilty about not reporting it right away or not taking some kind of action, don't. You're not a doctor. You're not a doctor. You don't have x-ray vision. Kids fall or kids hit their heads 1,000 times. I've got 2 kids, and the first one we treated like a China doll because we thought she would break. The second one would take tumbles all the time and and as you have more kids, you sort of grow immune and used to those types of injuries. If you saw something, and I'm starting to believe that maybe you did see something and you didn't take immediate action, that's not on you. You're not a doctor. But you need to tell us what you saw. And if it was Nancy, then we need to know that. That's very important. You're helping us. You're assisting us. That's going to benefit you, not just right now, but it's going to benefit you with your career and everything else that you came forward. You're a scared young lady. You've got 2 detectives. You're in a place where you don't know what's what. I would be reluctant to say things too. But you got to trust us. We're not here to condemn you. We're not here to put you in jail. We're here to come to the conclusions of what happened to a 16-month-old child. And if you have knowledge of that, You need to tell us. You need to tell us. And you need to accept the fact that another person did this, and that's fine. But don't just speculate. You were there. You saw what happened. What happened? What happened?
Sometimes.
Not sometimes.
I know.
What happened yesterday or Wednesday? What happened Wednesday? What happened? You know something happened. You know something bad happened. You know something real bad, and you probably stood there going, I wonder if that's as bad as it looks.
With Nancy, like, sometimes, like, when she handles, like, when Ben usually cries, I'm saying this, she probably did it, like,
Not
pick him up.
probably. We need exactly.
My back was turned, so she...
What did you hear?
I didn't hear anything. It was just...
So why are you
With
recalling a
Nancy,
moment
but-
when your back was turned?
When, if Ben was crying, because I don't remember much, I'm still in shock, like...
Right.
Listen, I know you are, okay? Even worse than not telling the truth is half-truths, okay? It's half-truths. You know, you've got over this. Look, you're an adult, and you're a smart person. You're not stupid. You don't have memory loss. You're not in medical shock, okay? What you are is in denial, and you're thinking, I don't want to be here. I don't want to accept that this is happening. I don't want to accept that he's dead. I don't want to be anywhere. If you had a choice right now, you'd be as far away from us as possible in this whole situation. If you had a choice, you wouldn't have come into work Wednesday. You wouldn't have been there. But you know what? You were there. You were a victim of circumstance, right? So don't be an offender. You know what an offender is? That's a bad guy. Be a witness. Be a witness. And you know clearly and sharply in your mind, and no one is blaming you for not taking some action, okay? No one is blaming you for that. But we need to find out exactly what happened, and we completely believe that you know what happened. And if it is Nancy, okay, in great detail, not my back was half turned, not I didn't see it, didn't hear it, didn't smell, but in great detail, you need to tell us this, and we need to put this to rest. We need to all go home tonight and have this entire situation put to rest.
Behind us.
Okay, we need to finish this today. We don't need you walking around a week from now, 2 weeks from now, looking at doubt, no closure. We don't need that. You don't need that. You can't possibly, and I'm a lot older than you, you cannot carry that burden of guilt. You can't do that. So you've got to tell us what you saw in great detail. Not possibly, not probably, because you know 100% we know what happened, but we need you to tell us. Tell us what happened.
Before everything happened, I was giving him a snack. I just used, I cleaned them off and everything when they were all done. After I cleaned off Ben's hands and everything, I put him down, and he crawled. He was fine before all that, and I believe I changed his diapers. When I changed his diapers, like, he didn't hit his head or anything, and like, it's just questionable to me now if when Nancy held him, maybe if he threw a fit and hit like, ran into something to a point where he hit his head hard. Like, because, like I keep saying over and over, I made sure, like, he was safe.
I'm not doubting that.
I know.
I'm not doubting that. What I'm doubting is that you didn't see Nancy do something to him.
No, but every time she comes in, he cries. He doesn't really like her.
Did you see her do anything?
As far as I know.
Not as far as you know.
Don't protect
I
Nancy.
know I'm not protecting
It's
Nancy, but
Did you ever see her do anything before? Ever?
like,
To a
pick
kid?
him up, no.
Smack a kid?
No, never.
Throw him
She
into a
just-
wall?
No.
Throw him in the crib?
No,
And you didn't see her do anything to this kid?
I swear. I'm just maybe wondering if when she would hold him, that, you know, she'd run into something, or when she would put him down, she didn't put him down nicely or gently. to a point where he would
It's
hit
not
his
gonna,
car.
this
I
injury
don't
isn't
know.
caused from something
No.
like that. It's something either,
'Cause I'm
it's something either
clueless.
you done or Nancy did, because it was something that just happened then, and it's something that couldn't be done without someone else noticing, because it had to be done with a considerable amount of force.
I'm seriously bringing back and thinking back then
Right.
of Wednesday. I know for a fact that I did not do anything. I did not see anything with my own eyes for him to even have a fractured skull like that. Because when I first found out that I had maybe something to do with it,
When did you find that out?
yesterday from the DCFS, I had a note that me and then that the other person
When did you talk to DCFS?
yesterday.
They called you
No, they came and interviewed me
at your office?
in the lounge. Yeah.
Okay.
And at the time, I told him, I was just like, and I read it, I was like, and I told my boss, I pulled her into the office and I told her, I'm like, you know, how come my sister didn't get this or whatever, because she did CPR.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time CPR was going on, I pushed all the kids out. Maybe I told her, I'm like, I'm clueless. Why did I get this? Why am I? Seems like I did something wrong.
What did it say?
That someone called DCFS on me, like saying that it could have been my fault for a fracture. Like he didn't specify what
Okay,
happened.
let me tell you right away, that's just something they have to do because it's a child care facility.
I understand
Okay,
that.
number two, if you lied to them, for whatever reason, just say you did, it doesn't matter one iota. Now's the time to come clean.
Yeah,
We're the law.
Yeah,
We
I
don't
understand.
care. We don't give a shit what you told them.
I
It's
understand,
never
and
going to
I-
make you look bad. You
I
might have been
know.
a little confused and shaken up yesterday. So whatever you told them, I don't want it to in any way affect what you're going to tell us. Don't try to be consistent
No,
with what you told them.
I am. I'm swearing to you. I am not lying. I am swearing on my aunt's grave and my uncle's that I did not do anything to fracture his skull, and I did not see anything.
Did you go out with anyone from work after work since this incident happened?
No, I
including
went
your
straight
sister?
home. I went straight home.
Did you talk to Nancy after this on the phone?
No, I gave her
outside
my
of work?
number. I gave her my number.
Did she call you?
No, she didn't. I told her to give me a call if she needs to. She never called me.
Okay. Did you ever see Nancy handle the kids roughly?
No, when she would put them down sometimes, she wouldn't support their head sometimes, and she would get a little intimidated and aggravated with the children because they would be crying. I mean, it happens, and yeah, I
Sure,
get
I know.
aggravated
I
a
get
lot.
aggravated at my own son.
And of course they're gonna cry, and I'm like, oh my gosh, please, where's your binky? But when sometimes she would pick them up, sometimes she would have them, sometimes not handle a child that very well. And I know she has 2-3 kids. She has a toddler of her own that's in the other bigger
It doesn't
room.
mean nothing. It
No,
doesn't
I
mean they're
know.
going to be better with kids.
Oh,
Or
I
it
know.
could be worse. We deal
And-
with people who kill their own kids.
I know, and she would get frustrated.
I get frustrated. I mean, everybody does.
Yeah.
It's human nature.
But and how she would sometimes pick them up. She wouldn't support them. She'd just pick them up and hold them as they're facing towards you, and hold them like that.
Was Ben sleeping during his nap hour
Yeah,
when Nancy was there?
yeah.
Was she mad at him and all that day?
No.
No one was mad at him?
He probably woke up around 2.
Who's the oldest kid in the room? How old?
It would have to be let's see. No.
Over
I
2
know.
years old?
No, if they were over 2 years old, they would have been in another room. And we have another set of twins, but they're gone for the month. They're the oldest. They would be the next move over.
If you were involved in this in any way, would you tell us if it was an accident? You would understand that
Yes,
we're not
I
out to
would
get you
complain.
and put you in jail, That's not, people think of police and they get scared. We're just out to get the truth of the matter, help out the family with their recovery through this thing, and bring this case to a closure. We don't think that you went in there with a baseball bat and hit this kid over the head. We've never said that. Because if you're that type of person, we don't even want to talk to you. We're going to use all of our evidence and try to prove it and put someone like you away. But we don't think you're that type of person. We think this could have been either someone getting real frustrated or an accident. The last thing I want, since you're a good person, I don't want you to cover up for anybody.
I won't.
There's a certain law for covering up. It's called concealment of a homicide. Now, like, just because it might be called a homicide, like my partner said, that doesn't mean someone intended on killing him. It just means, you know, if someone gets hit by a car, that's actually, you know, a homicide up until the coroner has an inquest and they rule it an accidental death. It doesn't mean it's an accident. But there is a charge for someone who intentionally and knowingly lies to detectives during an investigation where it's classified as a possible homicide, and it's not a nice charge. So I would hate to find out later that you're trying to protect your sister or Nancy.
No, I'm
Because
not,
I guarantee you right now that they're talking to detectives, and they're going to know right away who's guilty and who's not.
I never, ever would cover up for anybody, not even for a death.
If you did something that was an accident, though,
I would say something.
you're smart enough to know that you didn't mean to do it, right? If you lost your temper and maybe cracked someone, would you tell us?
Yeah.
You would? Have you ever thrown a kid against a wall?
No.
Have you ever hit a kid's head against anything? Never?
Never.
Did you ever hit Ben?
No. I've known them since they were really little. And when I first started subbing, in January, I went over there to sub. That's where I first saw them, the twins. They were still babies.
What are the other workers going to say about you, how you handle the kids?
They'll say that I handle them very well. I don't.
Do you get aggravated easy, or do you?
No, not really. No. I've never seen anything like that ever. And I would definitely come clean and say if I did see anything, I would say something. I would. I don't hide anything. I don't cover up for anybody.
Were you out with your sister Wednesday or Thursday night?
No.
You didn't see her after work?
No. She went home.
So no long conversations on the phone? Nothing like that?
No. We would find out. She would call, check up on me and see how I was doing because I was scared at the time when she was doing CPR and everything. I left to go put the other kids in another room when they were still doing CPR still, and that's when the paramedics came. But yeah, I would never do anything to those kids, ever. Never put my hand on a kid.
All right, we're going to take a short break again. You need anything? No? Water?
It's great when a baby goes to sleep because it's a lot easier to control them. So why wouldn't you guys just let him keep on sleeping in his chair? I mean,
because it was just getting towards the end of the day, and
can he sleep there to the end of the day? I mean, wouldn't he be?
We had to transfer the kids. That was the reason.
Transfer him to what?
Like put him in a different classroom when we went down.
Was he in this classroom the whole day, Ben?
The classroom I was in?
Yeah.
I thought you made a comment earlier that the reason you tried keeping him awake was because the parents were concerned that he was...
Yeah, that too. If he did fall asleep though, we would let him, but he can't sleep up until 5. After 5, he had to be awake because the mom would pick him up.
But this was at like 3:45, right?
It was like 4 o'clock, yeah.
So why wouldn't you just let him sleep till 5?
Because we were getting ready to start doing diapers too, and then we had to bring over the kids because they told us as soon, as you lose another kid, they tapped on the window. They're like, as soon as you lose another kid, blah 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 or whatever, you can start bringing them over. So we're like, okay, but we're gonna do diapers first. So we waited a little bit and we were playing because usually he sometimes falls asleep, but he really doesn't. He'll like close his eyes and like open them and just sit there and relax. So that's why I've been keeping him awake.
When you went up to him, was there anything coming out of his mouth? Or?
No.
So you just went up to him and said, Ben, Ben, and he didn't respond?
No.
And you said you shook his arm?
Yeah.
And how did you know that he wasn't just sleeping real sound?
Because he would have woken up.
Why? Were you shouting his name?
No, he would have heard me. Because at other times when he would fall asleep on the chair, he would wake up.
If you said his name?
Yeah. Or I'd be like, Ben, Ben, and his eyes will open. They really would. And then after that, give it like a few seconds, he'd probably try and fall asleep again. But that was why I did the call. I'm still trying to even think how he even got the fracture. I'm still clueless.
Right.
I wish I could tell you. I have no idea.
That's the same question we're trying to get answered.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Did you look up anything on like your computer at home about injuries to children's
No, I didn't.
heads, or if we
I didn't know anything.
subpoena your record,
Yeah.
would we be able to find out? Would we see anything about you researching anything about infant deaths or
Yeah, you
anything in the
wouldn't.
last couple days?
Yeah, you wouldn't.
And we're not going to find out from your boyfriend that, you know, you told him that you made a mistake and you accidentally dropped Ben.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to find that out?
No.
Because if that's the case,
Yeah, no.
you got to tell us, Melissa.
Yeah, I know.
Because we're not out to hurt you.
I know.
We don't want to hurt you, honestly.
Melissa, what if Nancy accuses you of doing this? Then what?
I'm going to be questionable. I'm going to be like, why? What did I do? You know? I've been trained really well to actually do this. And I understand she's been there, but I've been trained really well. And I handle even little infants younger than he does myself.
No, I'm just saying, what if she facilitates,
And says that I did
yeah,
it.
said, hey, this is what I saw.
I'm going to be like, well, why? Like, how? What did I actually do? You know? What did
So
I actually...
there's no doubt in your mind that if she makes an accusation that she's not going to have anything to back that up with. No doubt in your mind that when Nancy, or she's being questioned right now, says, look, I'm going to come up front with you guys. Melissa, she made a mistake. I saw it. I didn't know what to do. This is completely out of character for me. I should have said something, but it's her responsibility. She was in there the whole time with them. Yeah, this is what she did. Then what? Where are we at?
I would have been like, I would tell you. I would straight up tell you that I did make a mistake, and I was too afraid to say something, I didn't know it would actually hurt him, and I would have came clean and even said to Miss Beth and Miss Sandy, here's what happened, and that this is what, his head hit the floor or wherever his head got hit, and I would have said, I am completely so sorry. I didn't mean to do this at all. That's what I would have said, and I would have came clean. I wouldn't hide nothing from no one. If I knew I was doing something wrong, or if I did something wrong, I would go up and I would talk to them, because it would make me feel better.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily that you did something wrong. I mean, there's sometimes accidents happen, and I mean, they're unavoidable.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all been in car accidents. Sometimes stuff's just unavoidable. So if that's the case, it's not like you did something wrong, but we need to get to the bottom of this. And I'm sure you understand, because if you had a child, you'd want us to be doing the same thing.
I'd be questionable and trying to figure out what's going on.
Right, and you'd want to know if you said, you left your child in a daycare system and somebody ran into an accident and that led to your son, you know, maybe he had some kind of special skull, or maybe he had previous injuries, I don't know. He was sick a couple days prior, but maybe this little accident is what caused it. It would just give them some closure, and it would help us clear this case out.
Yeah, we're not saying we don't know if there was a pre-existing condition and something, Sean's point is something may have aggravated it. You know, there are strange physical anomalies, you know, things with people that sometimes you don't know. I mean, there's a thing out there where certain adults have skulls that are like eggshells.
Okay.
And they go around their whole life without ever having a head trauma or a head injury. And then one sudden, you know, hit or fall or hit to the head, and suddenly they're dead. You know, there could be a pre-existing condition with him. And the reason we're asking you about any other injuries that you may have noticed is that this is something that may have started and then been amplified. Okay. It's sort of like aggravating an old injury. And that may also give off the appearance of intensity.
Yeah. And well, like you said that too with the injury, he has had bumps on his head, but that wasn't from us.
I know that.
Mom even said, I seen him, Billy seen him.
Was it ever documented?
No, because he would do them at home. Like, he would do it with Mom around.
Who else seen it?
Me, Wendy.
The mom would tell you he had...
Yeah, she even told the doctors at the hospital that, you know, with these bumps on his head, it's from him hitting his head. I was told. And
by who?
By the director. Beth and everybody, we were all talking, and Billy even asked me, they were like, have you noticed about the bump on the head? And I'm like, no, I haven't.
When was this?
This was at the hospital when they were all at the hospital with Beth.
Wednesday or?
Yeah, Wednesday. And they asked me, they're like, have you noticed about the big bump on his head? I'm like, no, I haven't. You know, I didn't recognize it. But I have noticed, though.
Did he have any bruises on his face?
No, none.
None that day?
None. Absolutely none.
You would have noticed?
I would notice if he did. He has really light skin.
So who was involved in this discussion at the hospital?
Well, Beth went there because they wouldn't let her ride in the ambulance. So she had to take her own vehicle, and this is what she found out. And Billy even was there.
Who?
Billy. He even said that they saw
Who's
bumps.
Billy?
That's her husband.
Okay.
He even said that he saw a big bump on his head. And they have asked me, and I was like, I have not seen it at all. I didn't even recognize it. Every time he would throw his tantrum fits, it would be on the ground. Like the carpet, not on the tile.
You would have noticed if he threw one that day, right?
Yeah.
And he did it, you said?
No.
Because the way we're figuring is, like, thinking maybe an accident, but it would be an accident that someone would know about. They would have to literally, and I don't even think they could do this, drop him, hit his head against something while they're walking through a door frame, or literally grab him and hit him up against a wall, or hit him on the top of the head with something.
Yeah. I haven't seen anything. I give you my word on that one. I haven't. I have not seen him hit anything. I have not seen anybody pick him up, literally, and hit him against the wall or anything. If I would have, I report it right away.
Did you ever report Nancy's behavior when you said she's rough with the kids and throws them into the crib?
No, she doesn't throw them into the crib. She places them on the cots. She wouldn't throw them.
But you said, you know, sometimes she gets aggravated.
Sometimes she gets, yeah, she does. Frustrated.
She handles them roughly.
Not roughly, but sometimes you could see the frustration in her face.
But you said sometimes, like, she won't support their head.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's almost like whiplash. I mean, if they're not supporting their kid.
If they're like this, yeah, like, and then she's just like holding them on the outer side, and how she holds them sometimes. And then Ben, when he also too, here's the thing, when we would have to change his diaper, he's like, literally, you would have to like carry and support his head because he throws his head back He was doing that quite a bit this week. In the beginning, he was just like, didn't even want anything to do. He was just like this. He didn't like it when we picked him up. Changed his diaper.
Who changed his diaper?
I did.
The entire day?
Throughout the entire day. I changed him in the afternoon. I believe I changed him in the second before that last time. And that was it.
Prior to you leaving, prior to Nancy leaving to sanitize the plates, you said about an hour prior to that she was alone with the kids for a little bit?
Because I went to use the bathroom, but that was when all the kids were still in seating and snack.
Besides for that, did you step out of the room at all?
No, not even.
To go talk to your sister?
No.
Did your sister come in throughout the day?
She was in and out through the day. Yes, she was.
Did anyone ever report the way Nancy ever handled the kids there? Or?
No, I thought they already talked to her, to tell you the truth, because I wasn't there that long. I haven't been there that long.
Who do you think talked to her?
Probably Sandy.
Why?
I just had a curiosity that Sandy would have talked to, or someone like Wendy would have talked to her, or someone else that would talk to her already.
Talk to her and what, say that's not how you handle the kids?
Just to, like, I know you're frustrated sometimes, but...
Why would you say Wendy? Is she, like, the type of person who would say something to her? Or?
No, it's her classroom. So, if...
Is Nancy a helper, too? Or
yeah, she comes in at 9, and she starts breaks around, like, 9:10. That 9:10.
Has Wendy ever said anything to you?
No.
She hasn't?
No.
I mean, when I started, and when my partner started work as police work, other people that have been doing the job for a while, they'll tell you, well, don't do stuff this way, do it that way. You
They were telling me to, like, help out. She was telling me sometimes to, like, help out, and then for art or if they eat and stuff like that, she would explain. She's like, we don't do it this way. Yeah, she said that, but nothing other than that, no.
Melissa, just this whole time thing and this injury to his head was when you were alone with him. I mean, I don't know how you could convince us that he did.
He was sitting, yeah. He was sitting. Like, there was nothing around him or anywhere possibly that he could have hit his head. I'm clueless. I don't know.
I mean, could he have dropped out from a changing table when you were changing his diaper and you're afraid to tell us?
No, I would never do that. I am not going to be afraid to tell you. If I drop somebody from the change table, I would be stoked and crying, freaking out, but I would go and tell.
But sometimes people make a mistake, and they don't want to tell somebody because this economy sucks. They don't want to lose their job and say, hey, listen, I just dropped a kid. So then they're going to put that in your record. You're going to get in trouble. You might be afraid, and you might be like, well, kids fall all the time. He might be okay. And then this happens. We could understand that happening. Because you're afraid to tell someone at the time. You don't want to lose your job.
The only thing I kind of feel guilt a little bit about is that I wish I could have done a little bit more and help out more. Because of the fact my sister was doing everything. Because I literally felt guilty because I wasn't doing anything. I just made a call, and I was just yelling.
That's helpful.
But that's
sometimes the most important thing you could do is to summons more advanced medical personnel. That's the most important thing, number one. That's how we're trained too. The most important thing you could do is get on the phone so more people come that know more than we do. So you did do something to help them. But we don't want you to be afraid to tell us because, you were afraid you're going to lose your job and you thought it would be okay because you see kids fall every day. You probably see a kid fall every day, literally, like fall down. We don't want you to be afraid to tell us that because at the end of this investigation, we're going to have so many people working on so many specialists. We're going to know exactly probably what caused the injury. Okay. Right now, we got a team. They're probably closed down the nursery by now. I don't know if you're probably not aware of that. They're probably closed it down by now. But we got a team of evidence technicians.
Okay.
And they're sketching
Crime scene
the room.
investigators,
They're
CSIs.
sketching the room, the floors, and at the end of this, might be not today or tomorrow, they're going to know exactly what caused this injury to his head. I mean, because there's certain things that could cause a certain injury.
Yeah.
You know, we actually have very good photographs of his injury.
Okay.
And then, even though it's
Was
not
it in
always,
the back of the head or in the front of the head?
That's what he asked.
I'm just kind of curious. Maybe I could rethink, you know, and maybe see if it was from the back of the head. Maybe he, you know, Crystal probably, when she was doing CPR, when she picked him up and put him on the change table, maybe he hit his head really good because it bounced up a little bit. Maybe that could have been the reason when she put him down. You know what I mean? So, like, for his head to kind of bounce a little bit, but, like, she didn't bounce him, like, hard when she put him down. She was doing the CPR. I made sure I had the kids stand back, and I got all the kids out of the way. Because like I was saying earlier, I had the kids in the kitchen. So maybe, you know, that's what could have happened when she was performing
did
CPR.
you see his head bounce?
A little, yes, I did.
And she was only trying to help him.
Yes, she was trying to help him.
What's the table made out of? What is
It actually had it was our changing table. It had a mat on it though.
Oh,
and
mat.
then underneath it though was hard.
But he would have hit his head on the mat, right?
Yeah, but it was the mat
That
was
wouldn't
kind of
have
hard.
caused this injury.
That's the only thing though. I'm thinking.
Is there any way that an accident might have happened and you were afraid to tell someone because you thought everything would be okay? You didn't
No accidents whatsoever.
No.
I never, yeah.
And what about him hitting his head and, you not paying that much attention to it and then being re-aggravated on that changing table? Could that have happened?
That could have. With him hitting his head, yes. But I made sure the clear way when I would pick him up, because when I changed him from a nap, he wasn't acting like that. He was fine. He let me change his diaper and everything. But when I place them, and when I place even every kid now in my room, I hold their head and I gently put them on the changing table so that they wouldn't hit anything. And I made sure of that. But when he would seriously do this, and then he would try to put him down, sometimes he would hit his head on the changing table, on the mat though. And he would whine and cry because he didn't want to get his diaper changed. So
it's safe to say 45 minutes before he started losing consciousness, the only people in this room were you and Nancy.
yes.
So if someone did this to him, it would be safe to say that the only people that could have done something to him would be either you or Nancy. Is that if it happened within 45 minutes of this?
I agree, but I don't even know what I could have done to make him hit his head.
You would, like I said, this is a substantial injury. If he hit his head to cause this injury, you would know.
I would.
You would know. But not saying you meant it to happen, but you would know. Because I know you're very careful and everything, but I'm very careful with my son, and I'm paranoid because of all the shit that we go through and we deal with. But I mean, I've hit my son's head, to tell you the truth, on a door frame once, carrying him through. I mean, it happened. It was an accident. I didn't mean. I thought.
Oh, and he's done that too.
But there's stuff I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's hard to believe that there's never any accidents, or I'm almost worried when he's on the changing table because they flay around so much and they go crazy. And I'm afraid sometimes when I get his clothes, sometimes I have to put him down on the floor because I know he'll jump right off it in 1 second. They're so quick, babies. When I put him down, he turns on his stomach, I swear to God, in 2 seconds. And he thinks it's a joke. He thinks it's a game. So it's hard for me to believe that there's never no accidents because I'm only watching one, and you love these kids, I know you do, but when it's your own kid, you'll see someday you're really, 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 there's even more love for the child.
No.
And when that stuff happens to me, even with one kid, I can't imagine how someone could take care of 8 kids and there not be mishaps. I mean, it just has to happen.
Yeah, if I had seen any accident, I do report it. I do. I say something. I let them know. And I even asked.
Have you ever reported an accident before?
Not there, no. Because I've never.
You've been there for a year and 2 months?
I've been at the other place.
I mean for this company.
For this company, yeah. I have reported accidents.
Like what type of accidents?
Bumps on the head.
Like from what?
What do you mean?
Like, did they fall?
Yeah, when they fall or they clench together and there would be a mark literally on their heads. And I would report it. And I get an accident report and I fill it out. And then when I'm done filling it out, I sign it, I give it to my boss. They look over it and then they sign it, and then we have to have the parent's signature. I've done that a lot.
Sometimes when places make people do all that stuff, it's a great system, but it's a pain in the butt. Because you're like, shit, he just hit his head, he'll be fine. This kid hits his head every day. I don't want to be filling out reports. I'm the only one in here. I got to watch these kids. So you continue to watch them thinking everything will be fine.
I check, too, for bumps and everything. I feel their foreheads to make sure and everything.
Well, I mean, this was real apparent, these marks that he had. I mean, but I really, Melissa, I need you to.
I know.
I'm like, if like you were like a family member, I would like want to scream and say, Melissa, if you're involved in any way, please let these guys know. I would like to tell you that we're not here to hurt you, especially if it was an accident. We're not. A lot of people are afraid of the police. There's no need to be afraid of us.
I know.
We're here to get to the bottom of this. If it was your child, we would do the same thing. We're not trying to hurt you here.
I know.
We don't think you intentionally went in and hurt this kid. I swear I don't think that.
I wouldn't.
But I do think an accident happened. And
I agree.
And we need to know.
That's what I want to know, though. Because every time I have held him, he's been safe. He was head resting on my shoulder or in my arms sometimes. And then we'll walk around, he'll dance with me, we'll, do dancing. But I have never in my life that I've been there, even ever, would seriously, do that to him. Because I even know for a fact, too, that toddlers at his age, they are sensitive. They still have growing skulls. Their heads are still sensitive, just like really baby ones, small, tiny ones. And I understand that their heads are sensitive. But I would never.
We're not saying intentionally.
I know, and I'm
just saying if there was an accident, I
would say something.
I can understand why someone wouldn't. There's stuff that we're supposed to do, like at work, and it's a lot of protocol. And sometimes, if you hurt yourself, you're supposed to fill out all these forms, and you got to go to an accident review board. And it's just like, man, I don't want to deal with all this BS. I'll be fine. I don't want to say anything. So I understand how that goes, but I want you to understand that after today, we might have to talk to you about a couple things, but after today, it's going to be really hard for you to say, you know what, I was thinking, and I dropped him, and I forgot about it. It doesn't seem like an accident then, but if you told us today, listen, detectives, I was changing him, he was going crazy, he fell out of the changing table, he seemed fine, so I didn't say nothing, there was no one else in the room, and I couldn't leave. I monitored him, he seemed fine. All of a sudden, I seen him shut his eyes. I decided that at that time, I've got to get help, that he wasn't fine. If that's the case, please tell us. Please, don't help yourself.
I am telling you the truth. I did not drop him. Anything, nothing serious.
Did you hit him in the head?
Nope.
Did you do anything to contribute to any of these marks on his head?
No.
Nothing?
I swear, nothing.
Okay.
When you say nothing serious, what do you define as serious?
That I would never put my hands on him. I don't even recall putting or hitting him. Even if he was crying or whining so bad, I get a little frustrated, because he's screaming, but I would deal with it. I would be like, it's understandable. But I wouldn't pick him up any other type of way.
Melissa, you said you don't recall. I mean, it's a lot different than...
Yeah, I know. I don't pick up objects. I don't want to throw them.
But you just said you don't recall.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to explain. It's hard for me to explain.
That means that there's a possibility that...
I did not, but I'm telling you right now, though, I did not pick up anything. I did not pick up anything. I would never, ever...
What do you mean, pick up anything?
I wouldn't pick up anything to hit a child. It's not my child.
I never said you did pick up anything to hit a child.
I didn't, though. If that comes to the case, if people are saying that, I didn't.
Why would somebody say that?
You know what? I don't know. I don't pick up things. I make sure the kids are safe. I make sure they're taken care of, changed, healthy. Some's there, they're well taken care of.
Melissa, did somebody pick something up and hit him in the head with it?
No. I did not see anything and pick. The kids, they have bat. They have like a plastic bat, a little kid. He hits like things, that's it.
Could someone have hit him in the head with the plastic bat?
The children had it.
But would a worker
No.
hit a kid? Did you lose your patience and hit him?
No.
You sure?
Yep. Positive.
Because if you did, it's understandable.
No, I know.
It's very freaking stressful dealing with one baby. I know. I know. I never knew it till I had my own because I never watched babies in my life. But it fucking makes you lose your mind.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the best words. I'm not trying to not be professional. You can lose your mind sometimes because they'll go screaming. You're trying to get other stuff done, and that's only one. So I can understand if someone all of a sudden they lose their mind for a second and they hit a kid. I totally understand why someone would do that.
Yeah. We've had incidents where people just flat out black out, and the next thing you know, I mean, because they get aggravated, they get frustrated. We had a lot of that with husbands and wives and domestic arguments. Parents with their children, and they'll just flat out sit there and say, I just blacked out. And then, when I finally realized what happened, I composed myself and then just went on from there.
No, never blacked out.
Did you ever hit a kid there?
No.
No?
Nope.
What are the other workers? Are they ever going to say you hit someone?
No, they would never say that.
Why?
They've worked with me. I never put a hand on a
Did you ever scream at a child?
I would be like, no, not nice, that's it.
Did you ever scream?
Scream, yeah. But not like scream, like violently scream. I'd be like, no, not nice,
Right.
That's it.
Do you scream because you're losing patience?
Sometimes, yes. But if it gets out of control, when it gets out of control, yeah. I will say, no, not nice. And, I get a little, that little madness. But it's to a point where, I'm telling myself, calm down. They're kids, they're babies, they'll cry all the time, it happens. And
in this situation, too, a good thing that was pointed out is how we think like maybe the person who did this didn't intend for the kid to get hurt, or they didn't strike him in the head or hit him in the head with anything. It could have been as easy as something saying no and like pointing at him and actually like hitting his chest and him falling back and hitting his head on the wall.
Yeah. That's
something that we think could happen, and we know how kids move around and how easily someone doesn't realize how strong they are, and when they say no to a kid or something like that, they could fall back and hit a wall. Because something like that seems real plausible in this incident.
Okay.
I mean, did something like that happen? Did you do that? Did you push him into a wall? No?
Nope.
What do you think should happen to somebody who intentionally tries to hurt a child?
They should get talking to and figure out why. Why are you doing this? What made you want to do this? What did he ever do to you?
Right, get some counseling.
Yeah.
at, because those are issues that are counselable issues, you know, they're correctable mistakes.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing we're getting at, is that, you know, I'm going to go back and say that we don't believe that this was an intentional act, you know, that somebody got in their car, you know, Wednesday morning or whatever, or, you know, even Sunday and started thinking this through and saying, you know, really had it with this kid, and when I go into work the next time and he's there, this is, you know, I'm just fed up and this is what I'm going to do. No way that happened. But what we do firmly believe is that people are human. They get to a point where they're either not thinking clearly, okay, and make a mistake. You know, there's a lot of instances out there now where people, just because they're tired, are crashing cars because they're working so many hours in it. Is that intentional? No. But they had the same level of intoxication as somebody who was drunk. That's literally a statistic. It's, if you're awake for like 17 hours straight, you're like a .50, which is right near the legal limit. You know, something that you can't control. All right. So if there's an error made, you can't control the error. It's made. Okay. And at the time, it may not seem like it's a tremendous issue. Okay. It may not seem like, you know, let's say in this case, something may have happened. It didn't seem like it was a major injury.
Okay.
Because you don't know with kids, realistically. And we were talking a little bit this morning about a case that I had handled where a child literally was in a carrier, and the parent left the child at the top of the stairs of the house. It was no big deal. One of the other kids just came flying down the hallway, inadvertently hit this carrier, and the child was strapped in it like an astronaut, tumbled down the stairs. Okay? The parent looked at the child, and there was no visible injuries. Yeah, the child was a little upset, crying, but calmed down, right? Several hours later, all of a sudden they noticed that the child's lethargic, which means they're kind of spacing out a little bit, falling asleep, right? And appeared to have all these signs of being sick, like even a fever. So they took the child into the hospital, and even the doctor looked at the child and prescribed some antibiotics. Said they looked down, whatever. A couple hours later, they come back again saying, you know, it seems like it's the girl. She's getting worse, and we don't know, you know, why. It doesn't seem like anything's helping, and she keeps, you know, dozing off, and doesn't seem like she's paying attention, right? Another doctor, who now is a more experienced pediatrician, because the original ER doctor was just a regular general practitioner, not a specialist. This doctor looks at the child and says, holy crap, there's a concussion here because of the pupils. But to the naked eye and to the, you know, when it first occurred, it didn't appear like it was anything. And they actually airlifted the child to Children's Memorial Hospital in Milwaukee. That's how serious this injury had turned into a blood clot, whatever. Was that intentional? No. It was an accident. Did they notice it right away or think anything of it? No. But this is what it, and even the doctor originally looked at it. Did they notice it and think anything of it? No. They made an assumption that it was, you know, the flu and it was whatever. And I don't even know, I'll be honest with you, if the parents had told them about the tumble of the stairs. I'm going to presume they did. And they probably did some kind of cursory exam and said, well, there's nothing here. So the point being is, yeah, if you look at that now, a child laying at the hospital, and that's what I have to do is drive up to Milwaukee, and here's this infant with all the, you know, it really is a nasty sight because they've got all the IVs running in them, and you know how, you know, babies are so tiny, you've got tubes and whatever, and it looked horrible, and it looked absolutely gruesome, and it looked like this child was actually the victim of a major abuse, you know, and they were talking that they had drained the child's head, relieved it of pressure twice, because of the blood clot, because, you know, it was the brain was expanding and swollen and caused a fever. So initially, you're going, oh my God, these people took this child and, you know, slammed it into a wall or, you know, whatever. I mean, you're thinking all these things. Well, they were reluctant to talk to the police because they're nervous, right? Nobody wants to be accused of doing anything in town. And let's face facts. Even us, if we're driving down the street and the red lights go on, to this day, and I've been a cop a long time, you still get nervous.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, you're probably going to get the courtesy of getting out of it, and it's just another policeman. So anytime the police talk to you, and these parents were looking at me like I was being accusatory, and I'm going to take their child away, and this is going to get into the newspapers, and I'm going to lose my job, and people are going to look at me as I'm a bad parent or whatever. And it took hours, and actually in this case, it took a couple of days to convince them that that wasn't the case. And the more that they denied having any knowledge, or we don't know what happened, the worse it looked. Because denials like that, with facts in front of us, I mean, we already have these facts, just imply that there's deception, that a person's flat out lying to us. And the more and more that goes on, the more and more you feel like you're being manipulated, and you're giving these people every opportunity. Once they cleared the air on this, and everything fell into place and everything made sense, it was a done deal. We were finished, okay? Child went through rehab. Yeah, DCFS got involved. Do we like them getting involved? We don't have a choice in it, okay? They have to investigate any child-related incident. I'll be quite honest with you. Would they talk to you? Without our knowledge, when you told us that was realistically the first time we knew that anybody had made any kind of an accusation or a threat to you, is that appropriate? No, absolutely not, okay? We could easily bring you in here and sit you down and say, this is what we're going to do, this is what we believe, this is what we're accusing you of. We're not doing that, okay? We always go by, at least I do, and again, I'm going to go back to us making immediate assessments of you and your personality, all right?
Okay.
Does a person intentionally do something? It's a big, big difference between intentionally and spontaneously or accidentally. It's a big character difference. That's how people are judged, whether they're bad people and they're evil and they plan and they intentionally do things. And let's say you had a history of these accidents there. Well, then you got a track record. Well, you don't have one, right? You're a good employee who obviously cares about the kids, right? I'm going to presume that your employers are smart enough, because it's their business, and even your coworkers, because they work in this business, that they're all dedicated people who want to work with children, who are good at it, and they don't go into this as some kind of a plot to get into a system where they can abuse kids. That's not the case here. But when you're dealing with kids, they're unpredictable, they're spontaneous, they do stupid things. I can remember the first time I had to take my daughter to an emergency room. Literally, we found out that she was allergic to Benadryl. Okay, and Benadryl has two reactions. Either it makes you sleep or it makes you hyper. It made her hyper. She was running in circles in her house, and she hit her head on the edge of a door and cut her forehead. And if you've ever seen a forehead cut, bleeding is incredible. It looks like, oh my God. Okay, but that's spontaneity. It's something that's not preventable. Okay, what was I going to do? Tie her up or whatever? Face value, I bring her into the ER. I'm a police officer. I got this child with this head injury. I'm getting questioned, because that's what their responsibility to have to report any child. They have to determine at that point whether it was an intentional, whatever. I brought my son in a couple times with a broken wrist. Okay, he's broken his wrist 3 times. He's an athlete, baseball, football. Okay. But if I'm a DCFS person, I'm looking at this as being very, what am I doing? Am I grabbing my son by his arm and twisting and snap, what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay? They're giving me the benefit of the doubt because the report I give them is accurate and factual, and it's consistent with what we're seeing.
Okay.
Okay? What you're telling us, based on timelines, based on whatever, is inconsistent. Okay? And that's why we're sitting here going, look, we understand that you're looking out for yourself. We understand also that maybe given 24 hours and rolling this back in time, that if we were there and we talked to you almost immediately, that people, when they're in an incident like this, traumatic like that, they really, really want to tell you immediately what happened. Police officers involved in shootings, as we investigate those, officer wants to tell you right away what happened. He wants to get that off of his chest and say, you know what, the guy pointed a gun at me. I want everyone to know that what I did and why I killed him was justifiable. But we don't interview them anyway, so they have to sit and they have to wait, and that causes some issues. That causes them to manipulate story. And it's like it's a human reaction for you or anybody else to contrive a story or think things to put yourself in a better light. And it's very, and I'm not insulting you, please, don't take this as an insult. It's almost amateurish, and it creates the opposite effect. It makes you look like you're concealing something.
Like I'm hiding something?
Correct. That's it. It makes you look like you're hiding. So, if you take an incident that was not intentional and it escalated into something, worse, you're not a doctor, you don't have a crystal ball in your hand to predict what could happen.
Okay.
Right? And now all of a sudden, we have no, but we're saying yes, there's a medical factor. Something did happen, okay? And you're very smart. Let me tell you, I'm going to compliment you because you brought up a couple of points in our conversation, of points I've given you about skulls and kids, things like that. And that's great. But don't base your story on things I'm telling you. I'm trying to be honest and factual with you.
Okay.
Okay? I'm laying things out here. I'm not bringing props in here and laying things down and saying, we've got fingerprints and we've got that. I'm being completely honest with you. We find out, because we do this all the time, that lying to a person on our end doesn't achieve anything. Because if we get caught in a lie, our credibility is crap. You're not going to believe a thing I say as soon as you catch me in a lie, right? You got to look at it from our perspective. That's the way we feel about you. It's all about credibility and all about honesty.
Okay.
It's like God forgives, we don't. Because once you've told a lie or continue to escalate that, it's worse and worse and worse and worse. And then at some point, when this all comes to fruition, and it will, it's either going to be through you, if it's through somebody else, and it will, by day's end, it will be, it would preferably be you who tells us exactly what happened and put yourself in a positive light. Don't let somebody else railroad you down the river, or don't let these exigent facts paint you into a corner. We believe that something happened. We just want to, the problem with child victims is their children. They can't tell us.
Because they can't speak.
They can't. And now in this case, forever. Okay? But then we have to rely on everything else. We have to rely on science. That talks to us. Okay? But that only gives us a portion of the fact and the truth. Science can't tell us human emotion. Science can't tell us luck or probability or chances or bad luck or accidents. Science can't tell us all that to exact details. Only the person who is involved in that can tell us that. And that's why we're really sitting here frustrated a little bit, because I hope you understand, we're trying to give you every single opportunity there is. Every single opportunity there is to talk to us and clear the air on this thing and just put it to rest. So we can get on the phone, we can call our bosses in Lincolnshire and say, okay, Melissa's been straightforward with us. This is exactly what happened. Here's the timeline. We are convinced that this is what happened during this timeline, and we're done here. Okay. That's all we're asking. If there was an injury that occurred, and by the time your sister, who, I'm telling you, in good faith, ran in there and tried to give CPR, bad people don't do that. They don't care. They walk away. They run away from that. They don't want anything to do with that. Right? Bad people don't have a conscience. You know what I mean? The word sociopath or psychopath, it's one and the same. Those are people who have no emotions. They operate physically and mentally every day like normal people. You couldn't tell them, but inside they're dead. They have no feelings at all. You could not get away with that working in that environment. That's not you. You've got emotions. I saw your emotions here. You got upset. You have a conscience, right? You can express love. You can express hate. I'm sure you've got a love relationship with your boyfriend, your family. You probably love your sister. I think she got really worried and concerned about you leaving today. She loves you, okay? You have a lot of people supporting you, and you have a whole life ahead of you. How old are you, 21?
22.
22. Do you need to carry a burden like this for the next 60 years or whatever? Nobody does. And you know what? It's this type of thing that eats you up, and it's this type of thing that no matter what haunts your reputation, because there's always a question mark. There's always that question mark hanging over you. You know, we experience it in our line of work. If somebody accuses us of taking a bribe, even though I know I didn't do it, it's the fact that it's out there. You know, and you want to shout it at the world and say, look, here are the facts. This isn't what happened. I want to be clear that I want to talk to you. I want to talk to the investigators. I'm sure Sean, and again, I don't know if he's been involved in internal investigations where they accuse you as a police officer of doing anything from stealing to inappropriate behavior with, a person, use of force, whatever. It's not a good feeling. It's completely contrary to what we are as people. This has got to not be a good feeling for you, because it's got to be completely contrary to who you are and what you're all about. By even working in this place, it says a lot for your personal character that you're a caregiver. You're a caregiver. You're not a violent person. You're a caregiver. You take care of these children. Yeah, is it going to be a perfect world every day you go in? No, they're kids. They aggravate the hell out of their own parents. He'll tell you. I'll tell you. I've got teenagers. It doesn't get any easier. You could be a caregiver for teenagers, and believe me, you think you get aggravated now. Well, you're not too far removed from that to remember how you probably were with your parents. You thought you knew it all, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to tell you, being the senior citizen in this room, you don't know it all, and you don't want to carry a heavy burden on you.
Yeah.
You don't. You don't want the perception of people thinking that you're manipulative and you're a liar and you have no credibility. And I know you're not. I just think you're worried. I just think you're really deep down inside worried and you're scared. You are. You cannot be scared. You can't be. You're scared. I would be too. You were probably, if you weren't laying awake or rolling around or just thinking about this whole thing for the last couple of days, you're not human. If you went home and you went right to sleep and got up and felt like nothing is happening, you're not human. But I know that's not you. It's got to be bothering you. So when I ask you if you talk to other people, it's not because I'm trying to catch you in a lie or whatever. It's because I know you have to express it somehow. Some people have different ways of doing it. Some people internalize. If I get mad at somebody, I don't talk to them. They just know. They can feel it off of me. Other people, they externalize. They go off on you. They really tell you how it is. It all depends on how you handle it. But an incident like this, you're desensitizing yourself a little bit now, because you're almost thinking in your mind, God, this really didn't happen. This is not happening. You know what? It's like waking up, and I don't know if you drink or whatever, but it's like waking up from a 4-day drunk at some point. It just hits you like a ton. Oh my God. And then for you to come back to us in 3-4 days, whatever, it's just not going to work, because at that point now, we're not going to believe anything that you say. That's why we're asking, that's why we went there this morning. That's why we got you this morning. We took everybody. We want to clear the air, and we want to know now, because now it's credible. In a few days, it's not going to be credible.
Okay. To be honest, I have yelled, said not nice, but he was sitting up, and he just drops. And I heard him hit his head.
Where?
On the carpet, though. But
on the carpet or on the tile?
On the carpet.
Was that Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay.
A couple of times he's done that when we say no, not nice, and he will get upset. He was sitting straight up, and he would fall. He would seriously fall completely and hit his head.
And what, did he get upset after he hit his head?
Yeah.
He started crying?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember what time he hit his head?
No, I don't.
Kind of approximate, maybe? Was it?
Probably sometime in the afternoon before, ahead of time, before they had snack, maybe.
Okay.
Because he's
And what was it? I know you were saying that you guys have reading, you have playtime. What event was that during?
There was nothing going on. It was just playtime.
Okay.
Because when he got up from that, I saw him. He was awake. Picked him up. I was on the recliner, the rocking chair.
Right.
Just hanging out with him, and like, you know, we were being silly or whatever. And I know later out throughout the day, he did something to a point probably where, you know, we would like say, no, not nice. And he took it very, very harsh.
Did you say would that be you and Nancy or just you?
Well, Gwendy was in there too.
Gwendy,
Yeah.
okay.
So it was after nap.
So what was he sitting on the floor?
He was sitting on the floor.
And can you, I mean, how fast or hard did he fall back?
Like boom, like really fast. Like he would, like how he would throw himself. Like, you know.
He threw himself backwards.
He threw himself backwards, really hard.
And did he start screaming or crying?
Yes.
He did.
He did.
Okay.
Who was in the room?
Me and Gwendy.
Okay. How did you guys calm him down? Or did he calm himself down, or what happened?
He calmed down, but then we put him in the little chair where he usually goes.
So you just picked him up and put him in that chair?
Yeah, we picked him up, and then we were like, you know, you're okay, and he stopped crying once we picked him up, though, and then we put him in the chair.
And then what did he do in the chair?
He was fine. After that, he was just sitting there. He was playing or just moving around, whatever, had his eyes open, everything.
Can I ask you, why didn't you just tell us that to begin with?
I wasn't thinking straight because like I said, I am nervous. I've never been in a situation like this, so it's very hard.
We understand that. That's fine. But we just want to know, make sure that there's nothing else that you decide not to tell us and we have to drag out, because every time we have to pull stuff out or make you know that we're going to find out that you were there, or we're going to find out. I promise you.
I just don't want to lose my job.
Don't worry about your job.
You know what?
With the town. Like, sometimes I feel like I'm blamed.
Look, what did we tell you from the beginning? We're not looking to put blame on anyone. We're looking to find out what happened.
What happened.
Right. And by not telling us 100% the truth, then yeah, people are instinctively going to blame you. They're going to point the finger at you because of the time, the location. You know what I'm saying? You're there. It's not like there were 50 people in that room with you, okay? And I know how important your job is, and I know how important your career is. I mean, you have laid out in your mind what your career is going to be, right? You're doing the right thing. You said it yourself that every time something had occurred, that was in it, that you reported it, okay? Maybe this time you didn't because, oh my God, yeah, you're a responsible person. And you don't want people to point the finger of blame on you saying you are irresponsible, okay? This time the injury was more serious than you could tell. You don't have X-ray vision. So you didn't do anything, okay? Like I told you about that story with the ER doctor. Didn't identify and didn't see right away, sent the child home. I mean, you're not even a doctor, okay? What Sean is saying is that we want to make sure that that's all that happened. Seriously, because if Gwendy tells us something contrary, because she saw this, right? Okay.
Yeah, when he threw himself down.
Okay.
And threw himself down from where?
And on the carpet.
Where was he?
When he threw himself down.
In the center of the room.
Was he
standing?
No, he was sitting up like crisscross.
Sitting on the floor or on the chair?
Sitting on the floor.
And he flung himself back.
He flung himself back.
When his head hit, can you describe what kind of action it made? Show me with your hand.
Like you just hear like a loud clunk.
Did his head bounce off of the carpet?
I couldn't tell.
Let me ask you this, and this is one of the most important questions you're going to answer. After everything happened and he was taken to the hospital, did you and Wendy ever talk about, do you think he hurt himself from when he hit his head? Never?
No. And other times though, he's done that, but not as hard. He has hit him, he's thrown himself
He started
down.
crying right away?
Yeah.
And who picked him up?
I believe Gwendy did. It was me, Gwendy, and Nancy. That's what I remember.
Nancy was there too?
Yeah, it could have been Gwendy or Nancy. I'm still clueless, like, you know, but he did do that.
Think about it. Who was with you?
Really important.
Okay. gonna say Wendy maybe,
And did Gwen pick him up?
and put him in his chair.
Okay. And did Gwen say anything to you after she picked him up and put him in his chair? Okay. Did you think he had hit his head hard enough to cause some kind of serious injury? All the time we've been talking, did you feel that that may have been what caused this? Yes? Okay. And you were reluctant to tell us why?
I wasn't thinking about it, thinking that, maybe when I stepped out of the room, he could have...
Well, you just told me a second you're worried about your job.
Yeah, that too.
Okay. You want some more water or a bathroom break or anything? All right. We're going to take a little bit of a break, okay?
Let me explain here. It's what we did here. We got a team. One of our teams is with a physician who specializes, in these types of injuries. He can look at the parameters of an injury, and based on the autopsy, that was performed yesterday. Do you know how an autopsy works?
They search and find.
They do
like an examination or try to find out.
Without getting the graphic details, they basically dissect the body. Okay, and they look at every aspect of the body, from bruising. They photograph. They look at bruising. They run blood toxicology for drugs. When it comes to cranial injury, a head, they'll of course look at the skull. They look at the size of the brain. They measure it. They weigh it. Have you ever seen photographs of what something looks like, underneath flesh, where it's bruised or there's a clot?
Yeah.
Okay, it's very prominent.
Okay.
The entire process is very, very exact. They've been doing it for years. Okay, and I'm not going to go into forensics 101 with you with an autopsy, but they're able to tell down to the minutest detail the extent of the injury, what could cause it, what couldn't cause it. The brain sits in a liquid mass. Okay, so when a person gets a concussion, you heard that term. What happens is the brain swells, and there's fluid around the brain, and it expands, and that's why it makes your head really ache. Okay, literally it swells. When the brain is also injured, it can bleed, and in an autopsy, the blood forms at the point of injury, and you can tell based on the bone, the damage, because a skull fracture literally means this bone here is broken.
Broken?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And it's not that easy, especially in an infant or a younger child, to break bone with mild impact, because the bone is soft.
Okay.
Okay? So it's very flexible. In fact, the skull hasn't formed, so there's cracks where it floats and it moves. Okay? When you hit something, in your little physics lesson, there's a cause and an action. Okay?
Yeah.
So, like if you're sitting in a car and you get rear-ended, what happens? Your body flings forward.
And it goes back.
Correct. It's the same thing the head does in the brain. Okay? When you're hit back a certain way, the head flings forward. Okay? And what does that do? It shifts. And that'll cause bruising on the brain. Point of impact, where the brain gets hit, is really going to be prominent. And again, I'm in a grow shop. We've examined photographs, and so has the doctor. And they've been at the autopsy, and it's obvious that there's an injury to the back of the head. Okay, which is consistent with kind of what you said. However, two things that are inconsistent: the extent of the injury under no circumstances can be caused by that minor of an event, falling backwards.
Falling backwards.
Okay. Secondly, the front of the brain is also slightly bruised.
Okay.
So there's a whiplash effect.
Okay.
Thirdly, I made a comment to you, I don't know, somewhere earlier today where I described the fall or the injury being like somebody being dropped from the second floor
Yeah.
of a building. That's still the extent of the injury with a second independent opinion from an expert.
Okay.
Okay. So here's what Sean had to
In
do.
addition, Wendy doesn't recall him falling down and hitting his head.
Okay.
You were saying that she wouldn't pick him up.
Yeah.
She doesn't recall it. Oh,
She doesn't recall.
Not that she doesn't recall, she says it didn't happen.
Okay. This when it happened.
Okay.
Or it could have happened maybe
You know,
earlier.
look, here's what we still believe that. You're right on the cusp of really telling us what happened here. But you're reluctant because you're still scared and you're still worried. And again, please, don't take us as being amateurs at this. We've done it, and we know, we're always careful when we talk to people because we don't want people facilitating stories just to make us happy. It's not. It really isn't. We've done this numerous times. People have told us their most uncomfortable secrets, and they've confided in us. And we know the difference between somebody telling us something. It's almost like a child. If you interview a child, you got to really be careful because they're so impressionable. They'll tell you what you want to hear. Adults sometimes are almost in the same way because I know you want to do the right thing, and I know in your mind you're a smart person. You're still trying to just kind of figure out what's a plausible explanation here. But I just want to keep emphasizing to you that when you tell us something, we can, because of the situation and because of the medical processes involved and the science involved, we can walk out of here and confirm it or tell you, no, that's not what happened. Remember when I told you that every time you do that, it takes a little bit of your credibility away. Okay? Other fact is that, Gwen, okay. It says flat out that didn't happen. Okay. You're painting yourself in a little bit of a guilty corner here for some reason. Please let me finish. Because you got that far and you told us, yes, something happened. And I'm going to tell you that we do still believe that something happened. But we do believe that the event occurred, again, I'm going to tell you, not intentionally, but out of frustration, out of disappointment, out of something that caused it. Okay? And those are all viable excuses. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's not, premeditation. You've heard that term. You didn't come to work that day with the intent of hurting anybody. You didn't.
No, we didn't.
Okay. I know that.
Or what might have happened was done out of frustration, and you didn't intend on a serious injury to come up. And we know that too, right?
Yeah.
All of us as parents, Sean, and Sean probably even more so than me, because my kids are teenagers now. But I could remember as a father when they were younger getting frustrated. And it wasn't just one thing. It was, they were both only about a year apart, so they're both, they were still young. They were both kind of growing up at the same time. I didn't have 8 of them to deal with. I only had 2, or even 4. I had 2. And that was frustrating enough, trying to load them, unload them, get them in the snow. So I was telling him today that I don't miss these days where trying to get them both in the snowsuits. They're both screaming. They're both this. If one was well, the other one was sick. It kind of multiplies things because here not only is all that happening, but you've got your personal issues. You're tired. You work. You've got personal problems. Whatever. All that kind of multiplies, and you lose it at some point. You really just do. Everybody at some point just has it or whatever. And it's not intentional. You know, it's not. It just happens, you know. People just snap. You know, and they come to that point where they boil over and it happens. We've got this narrowed down to a very, very tight time frame. And there's only one thing here, is that something happened where you got frustrated, aggravated, whatever, and I'm telling you, it was not intentional. It was an accident. But it wasn't him flipping backwards. It wasn't. You know that. We know that. The forensic scientists are telling us that. Wendy tells us that. What you told us didn't happen. Okay? You need to clear the air here and tell us. You really do. And I know you've been sitting here thinking about it. You can't manipulate out of this. You really can't. You just need to come forward and tell us. You really do. Something frustrated you. Something happened. Okay? I know you didn't know the extent of Ben's injury. I know you didn't know that. And it's been eating you up these last few days. I know it has. I mean, I can tell it in your eyes. And you're going like this today. Right? One minute you're feeling like, I'm done with this. And then, you know, we just come back here and we say, look, you're not. You're not, because this is what we found out. This is fact. Okay? You really need to just tell me the truth. Please, no denials. Please.
I know, I'm not. I'm, like I said, that's the only thing I could possibly think of. I never took any frustration out on any of my kids. Ever. I never laid a finger, nothing.
We're not saying
I know.
Melissa, we're not saying him, okay? We're not saying that. We're saying that perhaps you took him, you put him in a chair a little too hard. I mean, you described whatever. He might have hit his head on something. What you're describing to us did not happen. Mathematically, it couldn't have happened, and physics-wise, it couldn't have happened. Something else happened.
We're thinking like something happened, and doing it normally, everything would be fine. Like, if George was a baby and I put him in a chair, he'd go in the chair, he'd go to sleep. But maybe on this instance, maybe the chair rocked back. There was a wall behind the chair. It rocked back, he tumbled back and hit his head on the ground. There was something that happened, and we know.
Where he was sitting and where I placed him, it was kind of by the changing table and the garbage can. And when I was taking him out, I probably, because I didn't stand behind him, I was on the side grabbing him, and he probably hit his head on the back of the changing table. That's the side of the changing table. That's the only thing I can think of right now, though. Is that he must have hit his head on the changing table, behind the changing table.
You would know if he hit his head or not. This injury was like my partner said, it's like someone getting dropped off a second story. The baby would have started to cry. It would have happened right when this whole thing went down. It would have happened right before it, I think. You would have known, you know exactly when the incident took place. You're making yourself look real bad. We're trying to think that you didn't intend on this injury to happen. You didn't intend on this to happen. But for whatever reason, it did happen. Okay? We need to know, and we need you to tell us, and you need to be honest to help yourself out here. You should be honest with us. What are you most afraid of? Just tell me about this whole situation.
That it could be my fault.
Okay.
I just don't know how.
Okay, but what are you most afraid of if it is your fault?
Everyone won't talk to me.
Who?
Their co-workers.
Co-workers? Why?
I don't know.
You think that they never made a mistake in their life?
I just have a gut feeling it's like it should be my fault. Ever since I got a piece of paper, I just felt like, what did I do wrong? And I've been trying to think thoroughly, and that's why I haven't been able to sleep much, because I'm trying to think, what did I do? Or what did Nancy do?
Right. What are you most afraid of if you did something? That your coworkers won't talk to you?
And then I probably would get a fine or go to jail or something.
Well, Melissa, if you didn't, our goal is if you didn't intend on causing pain or to somebody, we wouldn't want you to go to jail. It's like that whole accident theory. If it was a complete accident, even if it was something out of frustration, and maybe you put him in a chair too hard and the chair flipped over, we need to know, but we need to know now. You're worried about your co-workers? Give me a fucking break. This kid's dead. Fuck your co-workers, okay? I mean...
And your family's always going to be there for you.
Always.
They're not going to think anything less of you because they know you as an individual. They know you as a person. Who the fuck, you know, if these guys, how about this? If they're thinking, if you don't clarify this, then what the fuck do you think your co-workers are going to be thinking this whole time anyways? But if you bring this out, we know. There's no doubt about it. It was an accident. And tell me that they've never erred in judgment. Come on.
That should be the last thing that you're worried about. That's the last thing you should worry about. Everything else, like I said, if stuff was an accident or you didn't intend for Ben to get hurt severely, we don't think you did. We thought maybe you got frustrated, maybe something happened, you dropped. We don't know exactly what, but we know it happened within minutes from the time he went unresponsive, and we know you were the only one in the room, and we know it's something he can't cause by himself. So, Melissa, when this is all said and done, we have to clear this with the state's attorney to say what our opinion is and what happened here, and they're going to ask us, well, is this a person who's sorry for what they did? Is this a person who was cooperative with you? All this stuff's going to come into effect, and we're going to be able to say at the end of this, Melissa was very cooperative with us. She talked to us and she told us the truth. By her telling us the truth, we were able to get some resolution to this case and some closure to the family. We'll go tell the people at your work that if this guy, whatever you want us to tell them, that's the least of your concerns right now. But we know for a fact this happened moments before he lost consciousness, and we know you were the only one in the room. So please tell us what happened. Please don't make us drag everything out of you because it makes it seem like you're being deceitful to us.
When I took him out, when I watched him, he was at the edge and I heard his head hit the back of the table because I didn't fully put him down. It kind of almost like slipped when it dropped him and he hit the chair. And then I heard it. And he didn't, it was fine though, and I made sure that...
The changing table?
No, the wooden chair. Oh, the wooden chairs.
Like the adult wooden chairs? Or
The
baby
chair.
Yeah. They have little straps in them.
He hit the back of it.
You hit the back of his head? That's okay. It's all we've been trying to get from you for this whole time. I know you're upset, okay? I know that you're upset about this, Melissa. But stuff like this happens all the time. You didn't want intent for this little boy to die, right? And who knows? He could have had some pre-existing condition. You know, who knows? But
when you put him in the chair, were you holding him?
No.
Okay.
I just picked him up.
Where was he when you picked him up?
He was on the floor.
On the floor. And why did you pick him up?
Because I just wanted to put him in there and give him a snack right away.
Okay. And did you drop him? Is that what you said, or?
When I took him out of the chair.
Okay, so you put him in the chair to get him a snack.
Yeah.
And then when you picked him up, you dropped him.
It kind of slipped. Yeah.
He slipped.
Yeah.
Okay, and you hit his head on the back of the top part of the chair.
Yeah.
And then did he yell or scream?
No.
He didn't do anything.
When I checked his head, it was fine.
Okay.
From now on, don't tell us the truth, and everything will be okay. Don't. That's fine.
That's fine.
We understand that you're scared, and we were not lying to you here. We need to know the truth. It's going to help us, okay, Melissa? And promise me one thing, that you won't lie again. And I promise you, we're gonna make things as easy as possible on you, as long as you don't lie to us, okay? Did you drop the baby? Did you slam him on the chair?
It just
He slipped. Why were you afraid to tell us he slipped? Did you slam him on the chair? You sure? You wouldn't do that? He just slipped? In the back, his head hit the back of the chair? Why would he have some did he hit the ground after that, or what happened after he hit the chair?
He seemed normal.
No, on his body, so he fell out of your hands?
When I put him down, I took him out of the snack chair, and then I went to clean him up. And then, like, when I put him down, the other chair was behind him. And I wasn't paying attention. He slipped out of my hands, and he hit it.
How far did he slip?
Like, a little bit like right here.
Don't exaggerate it to make it sound better. If it's an accident, it's an accident. You got to tell us
Right.
exactly, because we're going to have to be able to prove
What
that.
you're telling us, scientific, remember what I told you? So you need to really be specific about how it slipped and how far down there.
It
So
wasn't that far to a point where it slipped, like he fell off balance, and then he hit his head, and he sat on the floor.
What did he hit his head on?
Wood.
A chair? A back of a chair? And after he hit his head, did he fall onto the floor?
He fell, but he went through the crawl to get his blanket after that.
So he hit his head and then fell to the ground? And how were you standing up when this happened? Were you standing straight up?
Yeah, I was bending, and I like was like this, and it slipped.
Yeah. He slipped, then slipped?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I did like.
And how low was the back of the chair?
It was like this tall,
Mm-hmm.
and like when his head like hit back, like it back.
if I show you a picture of the chair, would you recognize it?
The wooden table.
The one, or the wooden table that he hit his head on?
He hit his head on a wooden table?
Table or a chair?
The chair.
Which one was it?
The chair.
Did you, hang on. Did you change him prior to that?
No,
You didn't? What did,
I changed it before.
what did you put him in the chair for?
I did the snack.
He was sitting at the snack table, right?
Yeah, regular
You
chair.
took him out of the snack,
When he was done, I took him out, washed him off, and everything else. And when I put him down, that's when I slipped, and it was right there between the tile and
did
the
you
carpet.
slip, or did he slip out of your hands? Did you actually fall down with him?
No, I didn't.
Did you drop him? Okay. Where were you putting him back to? A different chair?
No, he.
You were bringing him to the floor?
I was bringing him to the floor.
Okay. And was that at the same time while Nancy left the room?
Yeah, she had her back turned.
She had her back
She was
turned?
doing the dishes.
Did he start crying right away? He didn't scream or anything? And then, so you just, after that, what did you do?
I continued my normal routine.
No, what did you do with him? Did he just put him on the floor? And then,
Did you put him on the floor, or did he roll onto the floor?
He went on the floor.
Okay, after he slips, hits his head on the chair, and then he's on the floor.
And he started crawling
Where did he crawl to?
to the other chair recliner to get his blanket, and then to the spot.
And then, after he got there, how long after that did you notice he was starting to kind of look sleepy?
5 minutes later.
is that why you were keeping such a good eye on him? Because you were worried about him hitting his head?
Yeah.
And then that's why you were watching him? So you were watching him real close. Why would he do that?
Because I didn't know if it took him back, because he wasn't showing his face.
And what was the first thing you noticed?
That he wasn't responding, like, he just looked really pale.
Okay, can you show her a picture of the chair? You got colors? Because I got color ones. Here, let me go get one.
So why do you think, just besides the normal fall, why do you think he hit his head so hard? But besides for that, because you lost balance?
He did.
You did? Was he like flailing in your arms or anything? No? Just you just dropped
I
him?
didn't pay attention.
When we talked to Nancy, Is she gonna say he was screaming and crying and you were upset with him or anything like that? Totally not the case.
And she had her back turned. She was doing dishes when this happened.
And a couple of minutes later is when she left the room. Did you tell anybody that you dropped him at all? Your sister or your boyfriend?
No.
Why not? You're afraid.
All right, sweetheart. I'm going to find chairs. Is that the room?
No.
No? Is this the room or this one?
No.
No?
That's okay.
All right.
We'll get it worked out.
Yeah.
So Nancy's not gonna say she was, the last she heard of him, he was screaming and crying while she was washing dishes? He didn't do anything to frustrate you? Was this something out of frustration? Huh? No? How do I know you're telling me the truth?
Because I did. He was fine. I wasn't frustrated. I was just taking him out, trying to hurry and get Paul out of the chair. I just wasn't paying attention.
What do you mean by not paying attention?
Like where I put him, where I was at.
But I mean, I don't understand, like, did you let go thinking he was secure? Did you let go of him a couple of feet early or something?
Yeah.
Because you were just in a hurry? Because I'm just saying stuff, you tell me, you want to know why.
Why? Because I thought he had his balance and everything. And
So the chair was facing the other way? So he hit the back of it with his head and then he hit the floor?
and he went straight to the head. When I dropped him, the chair was like right there. And he hit his head. And then he just like leaned forward. And then after that,
Did he hit the front of his head when he leaned forward?
No.
But when he hit the back of the chair, when he went down to the ground, did his head hit the ground at any time too?
The forward? No.
So he hit the chair backwards, did his body go forward then? It did?
Let me get something maybe you can show us exactly, because it's hard to explain, okay? So we're going to use a chair and I'm going to get you something.
Yeah.
All right.
So you didn't tell anybody about this? No? If you didn't mean for it to happen, it's okay, okay? People make mistakes all the time.
Just show us how, and we'll use this as a chair.
So what were you doing? Where were you coming from with the baby?
The kitchen, I was like this. And I unbuckled him. And then I took
And you were
him.
standing in the back of the chair or in front of it?
I was like this.
Up and side, okay.
And I picked him up.
Yeah.
And I was like this. And then I took him over to the sink to get his hands washed.
Okay.
And then I'm walking as I dried off his hands.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't think, I'd slip from the water or whatever.
So your hands were wet?
A little wet. And then, I walked forward a little bit, and there was, on the other side of it, there was a chair. And I put him down. I wasn't even, really looking.
Well, pretend this is the actual chair.
This is the chair that I took him.
Okay. Okay.
And then when I put him down, his head went plunk.
No, well, show us. Pretend this is like a foot off the ground.
Well, when I put him down, I wasn't paying attention. I was like this. And then his head went plunk really hard because I dropped him. I lost balance. And I just went like that. And then I lost balance because it was on between the tile and the floor.
So he hit his head on the chair, and then he lost balance, and what, flipped out of the chair?
No, when I dropped him,
Right.
his head hit the back of the chair. And I dropped him because it was so, I thought he was going to stand.
Mm-hmm.
and because he had almost the formation of standing up. And then when I dropped him, he went like this.
Mm-hmm.
1 second.
All right, so you're doing good. Sit down. Just sit down. Listen, you don't need to convince Sean and I that you are sorry, okay? You don't. Your family loves you. They're going to be very supportive. You're doing the right thing here. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, sweetie.
I want to see this though again. I'm still
Yeah.
having some difficulty. I'm sorry. I know this is hard, but I gotta understand this fully. Show me exactly and describe everything because I need to get this through my head.
Okay. He was sitting.
Okay. This is a chair.
That's the chair he was in.
Okay.
I'm sitting on the side. I unbuckled him. And then I picked him up. I didn't even have him facing me. I took him to the sink, wiped off his hands because he was full of graham crackers or animal crackers. And then after that, I was holding him like that. And then after when I was done, I wasn't even having my eye on him. When I dropped him, like I went like this, and then he was like this, and then his feet were kind of like this, starting to stand. So I thought he was gonna stand.
And this is on another chair?
No, it was on the floor.
On the floor, okay.
And then he lost his balance when I dropped him because I thought he had
Okay.
it, and his head hit back.
So, let's say this is the floor.
Yeah.
We'll say this is lower. Okay, look at this bar down here. Okay?
Mhm.
So he slips and he falls back and he hits his head on the chair like that? Is that it?
And then what happens to his body?
And then he just like,
Show us with the.
Show us. So here, this is the chair. He hits his head on the edge of the chair.
yeah.
Right? Slips and hits it.
And
Okay?
then he leans forward,
Uh-huh.
and then after that he sits back up, and then he walks toward. He's crawling on hands and knees to get his blanket, and that was it. Like, that's his spot.
He didn't fall again?
No.
So you put him down on the ground,
Yeah.
and you thought.
He
So you,
had his balance.
did you drop him before his feet hit the ground?
No.
Very important. Tell us that.
Did you?
Yeah.
did
No. No. It was like tiptoe. Like
Tiptoe.
yeah.
So his head fell back like that.
And hit the
Did he go forward then like that at all? He caught himself? Because that doesn't seem like enough force to cause this.
And that's what happened. He hit his head, and I checked.
How hard did he hit his head?
I heard it like, yeah.
Did the chair move at all?
No.
Okay.
So, how long after that happened did she go out of the room?
It was like a minute later. And she didn't hear nothing because she had her back towards the room. She had her back towards, she wasn't facing it. She was doing the dishes. So it was like, I wasn't even paying attention when I dropped him. Because I had to get all the other kids out.
But you thought he was on his feet and you let go of him? Or did you drop him before his feet hit the ground? Did you think he was on the ground?
Yeah.
So his feet weren't on the ground? No? It's okay. But you got to tell us this. How high off the ground do you think he was?
This is all going to make sense.
Like this much.
Don't exaggerate stuff to think that it's going to make your story better because it'll make it worse. Tell me exactly.
It wasn't that much off the
So
ground.
you thought he was on the ground and you let go? Is that what happened?
And he fell like that and hit the back of his head.
Because he was like leaning, he wasn't like leaning forward. He was sitting up, like, he was like up like this, like straight up. And like when he fell back, I heard him hit his head, I did. And then he just like went, like he like swung a little bit forward onto the floor. And then he was like that, and sat back up. And then he just crawled to his blanket, and that was it.
And then when he got to his blanket, you were still keeping an eye on him.
Yeah.
And what happened?
He crawled to the chair, to his spot, and I was like keeping an eye on him. And then his sister and another kid was by him, and he was crying. They were cleaning everything, and then all of a sudden, like a second later, you just see him stiff and pale, and I called him, and no response. So I went to him, and I told him, I was like, Ben, he didn't wake up or anything. I shook his arm, like I said, and then I went to get the phone, and Crystal heard me, and that's when she came in, and I still was on the phone, saying that I need help. And then Crystal said, Beth, I need you in here, like, right away.
And you didn't tell Crystal what really happened?
No.
Because we got two guys we don't want to find out that she knows all about this.
Yeah.
And that you lied to us.
You didn't tell anybody. You just talked to your boyfriend about it.
No, I swear not.
You didn't tell anybody.
I didn't tell
They're not in
anybody.
trouble if you
I
did.
know.
It'll actually give us some,
Yeah, I know.
witnesses to your story.
Yeah, I know. I kept it to myself.
So, we're not going to find out that this wasn't, your story is impossible. Is this the truth?
It is.
It is? So he wasn't quite on the ground?
No.
You thought he was? You let go? Did he hit the back of his ankles and fall back, or did his back just start falling back right
No,
away?
he hit the back of his ankle.
And then he hit at the back of his head so hard, he came forward right away?
Are these the types of chairs, like in that bottom picture?
Yeah.
That's it?
It was this,
What did he hit it on, the armrest or the back part?
the back part of this chair, because it was, kids, they know how to push out, and it wasn't the edge. Because, like, here was the chair, right around here, and the chair was pushed out, and it was moved from the kids, and that's when he hit it.
Is that the table in the room?
Yeah.
That is the table? Okay. Can you just do me a favor and circle the table and the chair and just put your initials next to it?
So you didn't slam him for doing anything wrong?
No.
Huh? Would you do something like that?
Never.
Never?
Never.
So this was clear that you just weren't paying attention, you thought he was on the ground? I just want to make sure, because, there's been a couple of stories, I want to make sure this is your final one. That's why I was asking you if you told anybody. Okay. Give us a minute, okay? Everything's going to be all right in the future. You're going to be happy that you got this off your chest, okay? Give us a second. Melissa, the chair, when his head hit the chair, where was the chair in relation to the table?
It was moved away from the table.
And what happened to the chair after his head hit it?
You know, you just heard a loud move.
It didn't move, the
It
chair?
kind of wiggled, and that was it.
It wiggled?
Yeah.
Are the chairs real heavy?
No.
No.
Yeah.
It just wiggled?
Yeah, because it was on between the tile and the carpet. It was on like
The chair?
Yeah, the chair. There's like a curve where that stick of it was standing on it, and when you hit it, the thing wiggled.
What kept the chair from falling back if his head hit the top of it?
The weight
The weight of what?
of the entire chair, the bottom of it, it wasn't light at all. It was probably heavier. It was heavier than the top part.
How heavy do you think the chair is? I mean, is it a heavy chair to pick up and move?
Mm-hmm.
Or you just think the weight kept it from moving? Okay. Do you think he weighed more than the chair? Okay. Do that for 1 second. was the chair, the legs, is it 4 legs, or is it, did you say half of them were on the wood and half was on the tile and half was on the carpet?
There was the center part, and right there was a line where the tip of it was at, where, you know, it can wiggle. And when we hit it, it like moved, but it moved back.
The chair moved back? So if this was the chair,
Yeah.
it hit it, it has 4 legs going to the ground, are all the legs on carpet?
No, it went, the 2 legs were on the tile, and then the other 2, it's like, on the, it was like sideways, in other words, like this, and, like this actually, because, like, the chair and everything, the blanket, is where he was trying to go at, and like, when I dropped him, I wasn't paying attention, and then this was like, on the rubber part to cover the ceiling, or whatever, the round of the cement and the carpet, and like he hit it, and the thing like it went, like, it
Okay.
wiggled.
Okay, I'll be back in a minute, have a seat.
We talked to the doctor, the pathologist is there, does the autopsies and does all the measurements, and we've got a couple of concerns about how far Ben fell and the chair, whether it was stationary, solid. Okay.
It was on the corner of the rubber, and where it was splitting the carpet, the tile didn't have the hole, and one leg was on it, and then it was the little thing.
No, that's not what, that he's just wondering, like, where you dropped the baby from, how high the baby was off the ground. The chair was pulled off from the table, you said?
Yeah, they pushed him out.
Mm-hmm.
And when I dropped him, he was like this much.
You mean that bottom of his legs were where your hands were? The bottom of his legs were? Mm-hmm. So he fell 2 feet to the floor?
And that, okay, so it was a little higher than what you told us. The bottoms of his feet were about, it looks like about a foot and a half off the ground, so the top of his head was probably about 3 or 4 feet. Okay. And did the chair move when he hit it?
It moved back.
The chair did?
It moved on the tile.
Okay.
What they're gonna do is they're gonna bring that chair over here, and then the doctor, either over here, they're gonna bring the chair to the doctor, and he's gonna make sure that this is possible, because they can tell exactly if that's what caused the injury. But we want to make sure